screeching halt. Live from New York. It's the show that was accused of being a germaphobe.
In the kitchen, you know how those cups, it's like almost impossible to get them apart. So I ripped them apart, and I get mine, and I say to Wilds, you can use that one. He's pulling the other ones apart. I say, use that one. He said, no, your thumbs were on it. Your fingers were on it.
Is that not? You know
I'm
those
clean,
cups. You have to get in there and pull it.
Yeah.
Everyone knows if there's one lone cup, that's the thumb cup. You can't touch that one.
I did not know that.
You've been taking
My
the
fingers
last
are
cup.
clean.
No, everyone's getting in there. That thing used to be this tall.
It's terrible. It's ridiculous. Can we get some regular cups? It's like a workout. It's like a workout in the kitchen. I'm in there 7 minutes, like, squeeze. I mean, it's crazy.
It's true. Everyone knows.
It's ridiculous. Like, just get my God.
You do look strong.
Regular Dixie cups, you know? Golly.
What about a good old-fashioned red Solo? Whatever happened to those?
Right.
Not
there
really
you
great
go.
for coffee.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
All right, today, Mayday. Drake is airing it out in Denver. Meanwhile, how should Josh Allen feel about an incongruent press conference from the decision makers in Buffalo? Not good.
Incongruent. Good.
And finally, the most motivational segment in all of sports, the Bud List, featuring the one and only Jackson Blade alongside Nick Rainer. Kevin Wilds, Brew, have you dealt with Jackson Blade's fame infringing upon your own?
It's taken on a life of its own. It really has.
I like when people are like, that guy looks just like Jackson Blade.
Someone proposed a possible Jackson Blade movie to me.
Movie?
I'm open to it.
Well, yeah.
Would you play Jackson Blade?
Of course.
Of course, obviously.
Yes.
Well, I don't know.
Obviously. I just got to tell you something. I didn't necessarily think it 90 seconds ago. Today's going to be a great show.
Oh, good.
I can feel it.
We start with Drake Maye. He has been dropping the ball, yes, indeed. He's also won both of his playoff games by double digits against two of the top defenses in the whole world. Here he is on not playing conservative against Denver.
I don't think trying to change it. I think last week you change it in case Sean doesn't make the play. So little things like that are just knowing the time and place for it. I think trying to get the ball out of my hand and just being cognizant of the edge rushers and taking care of the football is the number one thing. So if we have time and have a look downfield, you know me, I'm gonna take a look and take a shot.
Fired. Brew, did you like this mindset?
I'm gonna be honest, Nick. Like, this is a game you can be conservative. What are you doing?
Wild.
What is going on?
What's wrong with you? Go ahead, Brew. Do you need me to go? What?
I don't know what Wilds is doing. Go ahead. I have no idea what Wilds is doing.
It's fine. Just ignore him. Do your thing. Bro.
I think this is I don't know where you think I'm going.
I don't either.
But Nick, I think you're gonna agree with me.
Yeah. Hey, hold on. We're doing
This
a real
is
show.
a game where you don't need to score 30.
Yes.
Be conservative.
Yes.
All right? Jared Stidham is on the other side. They're going to be trying to protect him.
Yes.
All you have to do is play a clean game, and your defense will take care of the rest. That's it. You can win this game without explosive plays.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
I don't like it.
I love it too. I love it.
Coming.
I can't help it.
Yeah.
I can tell.
I'm shocked you knew.
Well,
because you like big plays.
And you
I
like
do. And he's a great big play quarterback.
Yes.
And you got to be yourself. This is not
I
the
love
time
that.
to start changing who you are. I like that he said the number one thing is protecting the ball, so he understands that. But you got to be who you are. And you don't play to lose, because I think going out too conservative, Nick, and I'm done after this, is you're playing to lose.
I agree with that.
I think you got to play to win. Don't just play not to lose. Play to win.
So I agree with that. And the reason Drake Maye is going to finish in the top 2 in MVP voting, and the reason the Patriots, no matter the schedule, we're going to have had a good to great offense this year is because of the mind meld between McDaniels and Drake, and Drake's not only accuracy but ability to make big plays.
Right.
That there is no denying that. But and this is a theme of how I look at life and look at sports.
Oh.
Everything has a cost. Everything.
Yep.
And when you see Drake's the tax on Drake, because let me back up a tiny bit. I don't actually believe that of all the quarterbacks in the league, if they were all in identical circumstances, Drake Maye is the best quarterback already under pressure and the best deep ball thrower. But the numbers say this year he was. Mm-hmm. The tax on that has been the sacks and the fumbles.
Yes.
That other guys might throw it away or take a sack. Mm-hmm. He hangs in there and sometimes takes a sack, which doesn't hurt his passing numbers.
Right.
And sometimes he makes a play other guys live to fight another day.
Yep.
And so when you look at, he has 6 fumbles, right, this playoffs. Mm-hmm. One was he was running the ball. And the final one, the last one, which we can show at the end, was an instant pressure. But I want you to watch these other 4 fumbles as they happened. And what you will see is, I think we'll see this one from the beginning. This is after a pump. When he sees the rush, I think I can still make it.
Yep.
And the ball, like, he feels the pressure, pulls it down, and then just tries to throw it anyway. He's hunting a play even though he knows there's a rusher right there. Mm-hmm. Show the next one.
I didn't love those.
Well, I'm going to show you all of them because I don't think there's any you're going to love, KW. This is another one where he obviously knows the pressure's right there. He's stepped up, and instead of eating it, he's like, nope, I'm hunting the big play. Go to the Houston game. Again, these aren't instant pressures. He sees the guy. That's in his face, and he's like, I can still make this play.
It's very similar to one of CJ's.
Yeah, this one
pick 6 actually.
Again,
that one.
It's a 7-step drop. That is his blind side, but he sees him, and he's like, nope, I still can get it off. And then the last one, which was the quick pressure. The only noteworthy part of this is where you have an 8-point lead, and the Texans have shown they can't move the ball, and it's still so.
Well, two-back was even worse when he was on like the 8-yard line.
Correct. But at least the game's still, like, you don't know at that moment that you're not going to need 30 points, that CJ's going to be in full meltdown mode. I hope I don't have to apologize for saying that. And so I just think that this can be the right mindset if you guys are in the Super Bowl against the Rams, and the wrong mindset on the road against a backup quarterback with a great pass rush.
So you're saying he should be different?
I think that you need to, just like you should have game plan centric offenses, I think saying you could have a game plan centric approach that weighs in your opponent, what you think the game's going to call for, on how risky you want to be. Because that Texans game was a massive boom-bust experience. You keep focusing on the boom, I think a little too much. I'm focusing on the bust, maybe you think a little too much. But 4 fumbles and 3 awesome touchdown passes is the epitome of a boom-bust game.
My only counter to that is, and I didn't pull the 3 touchdowns, I would like to see, Dusty, if you can immediately get the touchdowns, how close he was to getting hit on the 3 touchdown passes. And if they went into it, and certainly your game plan can't be to fumble the ball 4 times, but if they went into it like, hey, man, the price of doing business is getting hit. And if you're constantly scared for lack of a like, if you play like Aaron Rodgers, we cannot win. Right. There's no chance we can win if you're playing like Aaron Rodgers, quick release, don't get hit. You're going to have to stand in there. You might get hit. We might grab the ball, we might not. So I gotta analyze.
I mean,
but you see it when they show it again.
Early.
I mean, he's not pressured yet. He gets this. This is.
Yeah, I would prefer that.
Time. Yeah,
of course. And this is the difference between a young quarterback that is going to be great and already has flashes of brilliance and a great veteran quarterback is being able to, on the fly, kind of do a cost-benefit analysis and, danger assessment. And so, and some guys...
But there are some benefits to being young and not knowing what you don't know either. You go out there and, you play with reckless abandon. And I just think, I hear you, because they probably have to walk a fine line.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Between, and if early on, if he makes a few mistakes, then maybe you dial it back a little bit. But I think you can't go out there and say, okay, we're going to get away from what we've done all year, because like I said, that's playing to lose. Next thing you know, here comes the fourth quarter, and it's a really tight game that could then swing either way.
My final, and this might sound like being an apologist, but it's how I really feel. I am encouraged by the fact that he hasn't made any real bad decisions coverage-wise. Like the 2 interceptions, one was batted, one was at the end of the half, right. Hail Mary. There's no...
He's seeing the field clearly.
Perfectly. So it's like, all right, I'm going to take a shot. I'm going to hang in. Maybe I should have. Once he's getting his jersey grabbed, I'd rather he just tuck it and go. Yeah. But so far, it's worked out. But yes, we can certainly get better.
I didn't include it because it wasn't germane to the topic of, is he, attempting, being too risky in the pocket. But the fumble when he was running the ball, to me, was indicative. And we have seen this throughout his young and this year brilliant year, but his young career. He is going to be, I think, a high fumble quarterback. I think the combination of style, this is the one spot where hand size does obviously and clearly matter. Like when Coach Bieniemy was talking about the play where he instantly gets hacked on the, blind side. Mm-hmm. Rodgers, for instance, who has historically, right. Big hands. How many times have you seen the Rodgers play where he gets hit just like that and somehow he one-handed holds onto the ball? That's not going to be Drake Maye. And so I think that if the Patriots don't turn the ball over, they can't lose this weekend. And so I think that's I'd feel different if Bo Nix were playing. I might feel different if it were, at home, if there's different things. But in this spot, I think the only path for the Broncos is win the turnover battle, so I would dial back the aggression.
That's fair. All right, who wants to be the Eagles' offensive coordinator? Mike McDaniel? Nope, probably to the Chargers. Eric Bieniemy back to the Chiefs. Drew Petzing to the Lions. Brian Daboll was Jalen's OC in Alabama. He interviewed with the Bills for their head coaching job and might be the Titans' OC, according to Diana Rossini. Currently, Philadelphia is the only team, Brew, that didn't fire their head coach, who still have a vacancy at OC. And it begs the question, is this actually a bad job?
Not in my book. Now, look, I understand McDaniel going to the Chargers. You got a more talented quarterback as far as throwing the football than Jalen Hurts and Herbert. Mm-hmm. You got a coach who's, I'd say, as good as Sirianni has been as far as his record. I mean, Harbaugh, I think, is a better coach. But, but even if you want to say, Sirianni's won this and that, well, Harbaugh has, I think, more security, than Sirianni, more job security. So I think that's a job I can see, and it's just less pressure. You're not going to have the media, the fans all over you in L.A. for the Chargers like you do in Philly. So I understand that. Dable, I don't really get that one. I guess he loves Cam Ward, and you can mold him and, all that. But Philly, I think it's a good job, Nick. I get the media, how they're on you, the fans. You've got a Super Bowl winning quarterback who needs to improve on some things, intermediate passing and things like that. But a Super Bowl winning quarterback, a great running back that I think is going to have a bounce back year. Lane Johnson has said he's not retiring. So you still have Jordan Mailata, Cam Jerkins. You should have a good offensive line. If they're healthy, I expect a bounce back year from the O-line. Obviously, 2 very good receivers. Even if you get rid of AJ, which I don't know if they're going to do that because of the cap situation, but even if you do, you still got Devontae Smith.
Very talented roster and a great organization.
Right. Not only the talent, but 2 offensive coordinators in the last 3 years have gotten head coaching jobs from being with the Eagles. As the OC, if you're a name or kind of established like McDaniel was, you got full autonomy on the offensive side of the ball. Like they've said, like Sirianni's not going to be able to meddle with. You're going to have your way. It's going to be your way or the highway for the offense. So I think it's a very good job. I see some of the drawbacks, but I think it's a good job.
So here's why I don't think you'll have full autonomy on the offense.
That's what they're saying. I mean, unless it's a new guy.
No.
Like
I believe that that no other coach or management is going to meddle with the offense. But I do not think the offensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles has access to the full playbook. And I think that, and we saw it with Kellen Moore and where Kellen Moore quarterbacks throw. Every year he's been the play caller, and how much of it is that intermediate middle part of the field that a lot of these teams really have the meat and potatoes of their passing game being in that area. That is not where Jalen likes to throw the ball. I don't know that it's fair to say, I don't know what is fairer to Jalen. To say he can do it and doesn't like to do it, that would be weird. Or to say he'd like to do it, but he can't do it. That seems cutting, but it's got to be one of the two because he just doesn't throw the ball there, and we've seen that repeatedly. I think that if he's your quarterback and you don't have either dynamic running game, which they might have again next year, but they might not. And Jalen is not as much of a running threat at this point in his career as he was when they went to the first Super Bowl, which, again, we'll see if last year was a blip or a trend then the offense is going to be limited. And so it's certainly not a bad job, but, I love just making lists.
Of course.
KW. I think the following are better jobs.
Oh, here we go.
Tell me if I say one you disagree with. The Chiefs, the Bills, the Ravens, the Bengals, the Rams, the Patriots, the Jags, the Bears, the Cowboys, the Commanders.
Oh, so you're naming
the Lions
teams that aren't even in the market.
Oh yeah, I'm just saying. I'm saying of 32 of all of where I would like to be the offensive play caller, offensive coordinator. If I think I have head coaching aspirations. And I was going to include Detroit, Tampa, and the Chargers. That's 13 teams. Those are 13 teams that if their play caller position were open, I think is more attractive than the Eagles' play caller position.
Wow.
So I
don't agree with all those teams.
So, so that's. I don't think it's because of the things you said on the front end. It certainly to me does not qualify as bad job. Like I think right now, Cardinals offensive coordinator. That's a really tough job. You don't know who the quarterback is. You don't know a lot of talent. This is not that. But it's also weird to me that this job seems to be a temporary job that either ends in your promotion or your firing and no in between.
So let me show you this. This is Jalen's play caller.
It's such a bizarre thing.
We included college there. So a few things. To Nick's point, one, and you said it too, Kellen Moore's got a job, Steichen's got a job.
Yeah.
Peterson bounced around, obviously. And then his college coaches are also successful. But the question I have for you, Brew, is if you were Chris Broussard, offensive play calling genius, and you show up in Philadelphia, I don't think you start with a clean slate. It feels like you've got not necessarily the baggage, but the patchwork quilt of stuff that Jalen has incorporated from all of these guys that he still wants to run. That's a theory.
Well, look, if I were interviewing for this OC job, obviously I would want to meet with Jalen and talk with Jalen and talk to him about some of the things I want to do that I think he can improve on. When he entered the league, when Sirianni got there and Jalen was, people thought not even a franchise quarterback, his passing looked really bad. And he improved on that. It's similar like you talk with Caleb. He has improved on so many things that I think he can improve on the intermediate game. I think he can improve on things like he doesn't really like a lot of pre-snap, activity. Yeah. So I think he can improve on that stuff. So I would sit down with it, and maybe this is what some of them did, and say, look, I want to run a lot of this stuff. And I think you can do it, but we have to work on it in off season. Where are you at on this? And look, if Jalen's like, that's not really my strength. I won a Super Bowl, been to 2 without it. I don't think we need it. We got a lot of talent. Then you might be a bit discouraged. Yeah. But that's how I would approach it. Like, I want to work with you on some improving in certain areas.
Can I ask you one more question? This might be a better question for Coach. Would I be crazy if I said I want Jalen to pick the OC?
I think.
Didn't he pick kind of Brian Johnson? He had a long-time relationship.
That's what I don't know if he picked him, but I thought he got the job. Not because of Jalen,
had a long-time relationship.
They thought that was someone Jalen would be comfortable with. I just don't know. I think that there's a difference between you pick it and, hey, we like this guy. Why don't you sit down and talk with him like Bruce said and see if you think you guys are on the same page? Mm-hmm. I just don't think it's fair to ask Jalen Hurts to have been like studying Clint Kubiak's offense. Right. I know he's looking for a head coaching job. Yeah. Like, does he know that Nate Scheelhaus, the kid from the Rams, like, his passing game scheme?
Yeah.
But I think that guy wants to be a head coach too. But regardless, my point is, I don't know that he knows the schemes of the hot up-and-coming coordinators to, like, this is the guy, unless it was.
And beyond that, I agree with you totally on that. But also, I don't know that that's always I think most of the time that's not a great situation to have any player, pick the coach. I just don't think.
I know. I just can't tell. If he's gone through so many guys, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 guys. It just feels like I need some stability.
Oh, no,
the reason why he has had growth, but it's kind of like I'm getting a new guy every day.
But it's not a job. I know I want to get to the next thing. Offensive coordinator in the NFL is not a job that there's not a lot of 10-year offensive coordinators for the same team.
Yeah.
It's a job where you
get 5 with Bieniemy, which is
right.
But it's really Andy.
Josh
right,
McDaniels,
exactly. That's the thing. You need a guy like McDaniels, who failed at head coach a couple times to where what the Chiefs have in Spags. He's not going to leave to be a head coach. No one's giving him a job. He's just going to be the D coordinator. That's hard as offensive coordinator. And for the Eagles, 2 have turned into head coaches. The other 2 got one and done fired.
All right. NFL released their own version of Brew's ballot called the NFL MVP finalists. Their list alphabetically: Josh Allen, CMC, Drake Maye, The Prince, and Matthew Stafford. Brew, do you think they got this right?
They were close. They got about 80%, not about 80% right.
Okay.
Only one they missed is Myles Garrett. And look, if you're a defensive player, you got to be saying, what in the world do I have to do
Win 5
to
games.
get on the ballot?
Well,
look, you bring that up. They clearly took, and I vote for NBA. I take record into consideration. But Nick, we all know this is a 2-man race. So then after that, I kind of looked at it like, yes, winning mattered, but also who did something spectacular.
Yeah.
And Myles Garrett broke a 24-year record. And so that's why I had him instead of McCaffrey. Look, McCaffrey has had a phenomenal season. I'm not taking anything away from him. I'll just say he's worthy of being on it, but I'll just say less than 4 yards a carry, and I get it was for the all-purpose yards. Mm-hmm. Didn't lead the league in yards from scrimmage. It was Bijan Robinson who had almost 200 yards more. So I'm just saying that's why I had Garrett over McCaffrey.
Guys, can we take a moment here and look at the
top
screen?
5 finish?
Can we take
better than his top 7 finish.
Can we take a moment here and look at the screen?
He's back.
Here are, since the NFL expanded, because 4 years up, all of history until 4 years ago, MVP voting was you submitted one name.
Right.
And now you submit a full ballot and they do the NFL honors.
Here
are the finalists for MVP since they've done it. See if you've heard of these guys.
It's gonna be some wacky.
Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Brock Purdy, Dak Prescott, Jalen Hurts, Jared Goff, Matt Stafford, and Trevor Lawrence, along with Drake Maye. I'm leaving out the 3 position players Justin Jefferson, Christian McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley.
So what are you trying to say?
He's arrived.
That's a lot.
He's-
So
he's-
do you officially feel like he's arrived?
Yes, I do. I do. I don't feel like this year was a fluke. I don't feel like the 13 wins was fake. I understand he had the bad moment in the playoff game, but I thought overall for 59 minutes the playoff game played really well. And then there's one other tiny piece of news here, I think, because they also announced the finalists for Offensive Player of the Year.
My God, that's what I had too. I was going to ask you.
Oh, go.
Puka, Bijan, CMC, JSN, and Drake. So Drake's the only guy appearing on both lists, which in my
That's 'cause
mind
he's
says,
not gonna
ooh,
win.
he's going to win MVP.
No,
and then
it's
in
the
my other
opposite.
mind, I
Right,
said,
exactly.
ooh, he's
Yeah.
not going to win
And first of all, CMC's on both lists, but
Oh, CMC, I'm sorry, you're right.
He wasn't on Bruce's ballot, which is why you did. So I took this as this is even more so than the All-Pro balloting confirmation he didn't win MVP.
So can you tell me?
Yeah,
Explain it to me like I'm a 5-year-old.
because historically,
No, I know how it works, but why if neither guy plays defense. I don't think either one of them made a tackle this year.
Okay, I have to tell you historically because it's just what the way this has gone in the past is MVP is for quarterbacks. Offensive Player of the Year is basically best non-quarterback.
Like, why wouldn't Stafford be on there?
And when that has not been the case, it has been because there were two great quarterback MVP candidates, and people treated this as a silver medal.
Yeah.
So I read it as voters that were like, man, Drake Maye was awesome. I'm voting Stafford MVP. I'm going to vote Drake Maye Offensive Player of the Year. That's how I read it. And that's how I would bet it, and that's what I think it's going to happen. And sadly, I think it means he's going to win neither. Because he's not going to win Offensive Player of the Year, and I don't think going to win MVP.
I would rather have Offensive Player of the Year become a non-quarterback award officially.
I agree.
Well, you know my
Cy Young Award.
Yes,
Yeah,
the Tom Brady
and then
Award,
I love
whatever you wanna
that.
call
MVP can
it.
be for everybody.
I love that
Yeah.
idea, bro.
Yeah, they should
should
definitely-
Josh Allen be worried about the Bills' future? That's next on FS1, the Fox Sports Channel on Sirius XM. It's weird to call it the Cy Young Award, though. Hey, check out the podcast.
Wow.
We're under 10 million.
We're cooking.
We're under 10 million to 1 billion views. I can't wait for this. Also, I'm putting out an official ask for Cardi B to come on the show. Now, does that have anything to do? We haven't gotten an answer yet. But I'm just
You
going
want
to.
me to
I
ask?
like that.
You have a relationship with Cardi B?
Well, relationship feels.
Well, I'm saying
But-
for any. I'm not talking about like that.
Yeah, I'll ask her.
Get out of town, dude. How?
I know people.
Get out of town.
I
Yeah, you should have been asking her.
don't want.
That would be a great get. Yeah.
don't want
Go
to
ahead and ask.
inconvenience.
Head to Buffalo, where a press conference left us questioning the direction of this franchise. Bills owner Terry Pagula and GM Brandon Beane played the blame game for drafting Keon Coleman. He's still on the team. Then said they hit the ceiling as a franchise under McDermott. Also blamed the refs for Brandon Cook's, air quotes, catch. So they should have won the game if it wasn't for the refs, but since they didn't, it cost McDermott his job. Meanwhile, some of their interviews feature 3 candidates that have already been in the building: Joe Brady, Brian Daboll, and Anthony Lynn. Should this week be concerning at all for Josh Allen?
I wouldn't love it if I were him, Coach. And it's for a number of reasons. One is, the owner of the team said, and this, he might not have been telling the truth, but he said, yeah, going into that game, I wasn't planning on firing Sean McDermott. But when I saw how inconsolable Josh Allen was, that's when I knew I needed to do it. If I'm Josh Allen, I already felt terribly, obviously. You know, we saw it. And now I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I felt awful because I turned the ball over. But if I had hidden it better, maybe you don't fire the coach. So that's, a little punch right there. They also then made it very clear. I think everybody kind of missed the bigger story of the Keon Coleman thing. When he's like, that wasn't a Brandon or Bean pick.
Right.
That was a coach's pick. And everyone's like, oh, and the coach is now fired. And maybe I'm wrong, but I would imagine that as strong a voice as Sean McDermott, the defensive-minded coach, would have in which receiver they want. The offensive coordinator, play caller, has a very strong voice in which receiver they want. And not only is that guy still there, he's interviewing to be the head coach. And we haven't heard from Josh yet. We haven't heard anything from him publicly. So all of this, when you add to it, the other thing they made very clear was, we think this roster was absolutely Super Bowl caliber, and we underachieved. All of that, if I were Josh Allen, would leave me feeling a little wobbly after the way the season ended.
Well, the good news is he knows if he doesn't like the new head coach, just cry after one of the games. that dude will be out in a hurry. Yeah, you should absolutely be worried. So the guy this is a billion-dollar corporation, walks in after the most emotional game of the season and suddenly decides to make a massive shift in the direction of the organization because his players are emotional, and he wasn't going to fire him prior, and he fired him based off a play that he doesn't agree with, that should have been a catch, that wasn't a catch, that would have won the game, and then he wouldn't have been fired. How does any of that make sense? And how does any of that give you confidence that moving forward, the decisions are going to be well thought out, unemotional, objective, and in the best interest of the long-term success of the organization, and not just emotional reactions to whatever's happening during the course of business? It's so hard to do, and I brought this up so many times with when they took over the Sabres and what happened since they've owned the Sabres, and the 5 head coaches and the 4 GMs that have been there, and the more they get involved and this becomes business as usual, the more we're going to see coaches turnover, and there was a huge playoff drought before Sean McDermott got there, and maybe Sean McDermott hid a bunch of the problems that were inherent in the organization. Maybe he overachieved as a coach there based off the amount of meddling as opposed to underachieved. I don't know, but I'm sure making a strong argument for that.
It's hard for me to believe. Like, I actually think Bean had a lot to do with this. It seems like from the reporting there was at least tension between Bean and McDermott. I have a hard time believing that the owner, there was no discussion or even thought of getting rid of McDermott going into that game.
What backs you up on that, Brew, is by 10 a.m. Monday morning, not only was Sean McDermott fired, but Brandon Bean had agreed to a big new job and a promotion.
Right.
Which I would imagine is not done in 90 minutes. Like,
exactly.
Maybe I'm speculating.
Well, it could be. It's like, hey, I'm going to fire you or promote you. What do you think?
Oh, yeah. I guess you're right. Like, that's a fair point.
I also think, Coach,
it wouldn't take me long to make that decision.
You know, I've dealt with a lot of owners. You've dealt with some as a coach. I think if you put a lot of owners in front of the media, they're not going to come off well, because I don't think they're generally used to being in front of the media. You know, even a lot of media people, their first time on TV, first few times, they're not comfortable. You know what I mean? Yes. You don't know
Everybody
the media's jabbing you. The media's trying to get you to say something crazy. So if you don't deal with that every day, you're not used to it. And so I think that is part of why the owner came off poorly. Look, I agree.
And the other thing, Brew, is when your whole life everybody tells you how smart you are and how great every comment you say is.
Most of these owners.
And then suddenly people are like, maybe that's not the case.
Right, yeah. Look, I don't have the most faith in Bean. I think he should have been gone along with McDermott. But I do think they had to do something different. I mean, 7 tries. Like, you can say McDermott is a good coach. Nobody disputes he's a very good coach. But you're just saying, I think we're going to get over the hump eventually with no proof of doing it. It's not like you lost to the Chiefs every year. It's not like you never beat the Chiefs in the regular season. You know, you lost to other teams, most notably recently to Bo Nix, and you beat the Chiefs in the regular season and lost continuously in the playoffs. Like, I think they needed a change, and I think Josh understands that. And so I get it. You might be concerned about what they're going to do going forward, but they needed a change, I believe.
Can I ask you a question, Coach? Because I think sometimes when we talk about coaches getting fired, we just think about the head coach and maybe the assistants. Can you kind of outline the domino effect on how low it goes when a head coach gets fired, from strength and conditioning, nutrition, all of it, analytics? And what I'm trying to get at is, if Jaquan McMillan doesn't make that play, or if, the overtime rules were different, or if Josh gets the tush push, they're right there on the edge, and now they're changing a wholesale leadership group in Buffalo.
Yeah, and it depends on who comes in. So look at what the Giants are going through right now. The longtime personnel guy who was there 28 years, he's now gone. Yeah. Their trainer, I forget how long he's been
45
there.
years.
45 years. He's now transitioned to a new role. And that organization, which had a ton of continuity in coaching and in the building, because they went and got John, and John had very certain demands in terms of how far his reach could go. Now a lot of people are losing their jobs outside of the coaching staff. And to some degree, I think there's merit in that. I think that everybody in an organization needs to be pushing in the same direction, and everybody needs to feel the same sense of urgency. So the trainer, the trainer, the equipment guy, the strength conditioning guy, the nutritionist, everybody needs to feel that, because you either go, you rise together or you fall together, and then everybody's pushing in the same direction.
But will there be less of that? I would imagine there'll be less of that in Buffalo, because Bean, who was there 4 months shorter than McDermott, they were there together basically, not only is still there but got promoted. Harbaugh came in and Joe Shane got demoted, and he's over him. So am I right in assuming there's going to be a lot of what you're talking about, institutional stability that I would imagine Bean is going to keep in place because he's still there?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's funny, in a lot of buildings you can walk in and see who has the power by who has the best offices. So if the personnel guy has the power, all the scouts and guys in free agency, their offices are the best. It overlooks the field. And then if the coaching staff has the power, those offices shift. And every time there's a new power shift, I don't know how many times the Browns building has transformed, depending on who's in it and which offices the people
And
have.
Pagula said, KW, that the new coach will report to Brandon Bean.
Oh,
so that Bean is that was
I'm
the
not
promotion.
surprised
He's got
that.
He's got the juice.
Shared office.
Oh yeah.
Bieniemy's back, and maybe he's getting the old band back together. Travis Kelce was enthused, and Tyreek, as he often does, flirted with going back to Arrowhead for a reunion. Here's Travis.
I love that. I think it's great. I think it's marriage is going to pick up right where it left off. I can't wait to see him back in the building, man. He's one of my favorite coaches of all time. One of my favorite people of all time. I've had so many unbelievable, growing moments under him as a player, as a person. And I just love the guy, and it's going to be awesome to see him back in the building and see him back wearing the Chiefs logo, baby.
Very interesting.
You got 31 minutes, KW.
For what?
For what?
Well, what's in 31 minutes? What time will it be?
Well, sports media ombudsman.
It'll be 4:12. It's sports media ombudsman.
Wow. We're going to break news?
So before the sports media ombudsman hits, would you like to retract your report from yesterday?
What did I say yesterday?
Well, yesterday you reported that Travis Kelce was not going to be back, and that doesn't sound like a man.
You reported that he was going to.
Nope. I reported that your report was erroneous.
Well, if my report's wrong, that means your report is right.
I am saying.
I'm saying
we don't know. We don't know.
I don't know if it's a lock that he's back.
I am very clearly not reporting he is back. I am not saying it is anywhere close to a lock that he's back. I am saying that the assumption that he's done is premature and erroneous. Would you now hear when he says it's going to be great to see him back in the building, the possibility that Travis Kelce will play at least one more game with the Kansas City Chiefs seems a little greater today than it was when you were reporting he was done.
I don't think he's done. I have always thought that he's taken a little off-season +8.
Can I bring up my concern here?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so Travis Kelce is a free agent, correct?
Yeah.
So now the question is, how does the organization value him? So is he still valued as an elite tight end? Or do they value him as a guy who's somewhat...
He's marrying a billionaire.
I understand that. You can say that. But there's a big difference when someone says, hey, you are making, $15 million a year, and now we want you back, but you're going to have to be at 7 or 5 or whatever. And even though he's maybe marrying someone very wealthy and has a lot of money, there's an ego component to that. So can they find a place where he's happy with the contract, and they're happy with the contract, because it's not a lock organizationally that it's in their best interest to pay him as a top-flight tight end if that's not really where he is at this point in his career.
Listen, to be fair, he was one of the 5 best tight ends in football last year. And that doesn't mean he'll necessarily be on the following year, but he is nowhere close to peak Travis Kelce, but he is still one of the best at his position. Here's what I will say. I haven't really thought about the money component of it, because I think Wilds might be right, that he takes some time off and comes back. Wherever Travis is on his decision on coming back, Eric Bieniemy being back helps a yes.
That's good.
You know what I mean? Wherever he is on it, it moves it at least a little closer to a yes, and that is one of the many reasons I like this.
Unfortunately, Eric Bieniemy doesn't control the salary cap.
No, I don't. Coach, I just trust me when I say this. Whether or not Travis does or doesn't come back, the money is not going to be. I'm not going to say it doesn't matter. Money is not going to be the issue there.
I would also like to shout out Chris Broussard, who called this months ago.
Thank you.
And
Teammate of the year.
That's why you're teammate of the year.
That's what I called him. Wilds wouldn't name one.
Teammate of the year.
Wilds wouldn't name a teammate of the year. He was like, if I give Brew a pizza.
I did once. He twisted my arm, but I just thought everyone did a great job.
Brew, I didn't need my arm twisted. I said it's obvious.
Are you going to make the all-decade team?
Teammate of the year.
Oh.
When I think about the decade.
Brew, I said for the 5th consecutive year, Chris Broussard, teammate of the year. That's what I said.
A little voter fatigue for me. Where is the most wonderful plays? And a rough night for my guy, LaMelo Ball, next. 0 for 10 from 3. Big Ben is suggesting a Green Bay reunion in Pittsburgh. Mike McCarthy as coach, Aaron Rodgers as QB. Take a listen.
Mike McCarthy is an offensive-minded veteran coach, guy that's been there, done that. He has Pittsburgh ties, so he understands the Steeler way. Positive side to him coming in here would be the potential of Aaron Rodgers coming back, right? They have a relationship together. Now, I don't know what the relationship is, but I assume that it's good enough. They won a Super Bowl together. You could bring his offense in. Aaron would know the offense. He would feel super comfortable.
I kind of like it. Oh, man.
Are you serious?
I wish you hadn't said that. Now I have to soften what I was going to say. Because had you not said you like it, I was going to say this is one of the dumbest things I've ever heard.
Oh, come on.
I wouldn't want to insult you.
They've got nothing.
Buddy.
What is
this?
That's just giving up a year.
Correct. Correct.
There is no chance of them winning the Super Bowl.
Well, actually, I've seen them win the Super Bowl, so take that back. I have seen that combo win the Super Bowl. But probably not even win a playoff game. And Rodgers might get you to 8, 9
the goal
wins.
is...
And then what? You're stuck in the middle. Like, it's better for them to bottom out next year. I know that's not their plan, but...
Coach is going to rip us, Brew. Go ahead.
No, I'm not going to rip. I'm with you guys. I don't see how this makes sense. And what are his Pittsburgh ties? Did he coach for the Steelers? McCarthy, or he's just from the area?
No idea.
I don't know if from the area makes you understand how the organization works. And I don't know.
But he knows the good sandwich spot.
Oh,
yes.
Well, that's a good part of the learning curve.
I like how it's like Pittsburgh totally you know what, they love winning football.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure how good their relationship is. Wasn't
Well, that's the other part.
Yeah, I thought Aaron, it sort of seemed like he might have been part of the reason McCarthy moved on to the Cowboys.
Time heals.
And his play for McCarthy in his last year or two was not good. Correct. We thought he was done. All of a sudden, he gets LaFleur and he becomes the MVP again.
Yeah, and I'm not opposed to Aaron Rodgers coming back as long as you're going to get a young quarterback. Like if you're looking at him as a bridge guy as you bring in a young quarterback.
Sure.
But to me, the getting just running it back with an older coach and an older quarterback, you're going to be in a lot of the same spot. I think at this point you got to take a chance, try to go get someone young, try to go get a new quarterback, and just see if you can build things to the future in a really meaningful way.
I do not think Bills or Ravens fans would be excited about a Mike McCarthy hire. No. But if they did it, I would understand it. If it's like we have too great of an asset as our quarterback to roll the dice with a young first-time head coach, we need to have an element of stability. Like, that's the type of team that I would get it for Mike McCarthy, who has shown he is at the very least a good coach in different situations in this league. There's
he's a great coach.
No doubt. I reserved great for maybe
13 games.
a little different. No, but I said at the least, a good coach in this league. Pittsburgh is in the opposite situation of Baltimore and Buffalo. Pittsburgh is totally incentivized to take a chance like they did with Mike Tomlin. Young guy, we will give you time. You can learn, on the job, so to speak. And by the way, we're gonna keep taking swings at quarterback. We got to. What we're not gonna do is re-sign a guy who would start the season as the oldest day one starter in league history, not named Tom Brady.
And
we're
think
not
you might
going
have
to
to
do
hit
that.
the reset on the defense. You can't have the oldest, highest paid
Yes.
defense.
Right.
It might be time to hit the reset button.
Absolutely.
And try to compete for the next 10 years, just not be in the middle of
And
the
they
road.
have the benefit of Pittsburgh, I think, in doing this on the fly, but I would imagine is the only fan base of the 31 that if you were to take a poll and be like, hey, would you prefer 9 wins next year or 3? 3 would win. I think that fan base is, now they would prefer 13 more than any of them, but that fan base is not going to kill you if you, now your worry is that you would long-term bottom out, which is a concern, but they can do it for a year.
Pittsburgh, aren't you? I don't know if it's a rebuild. He said a week ago. It's from Brooke Pryor.
Who said this?
I think one of the Roonies.
Okay, sorry, go ahead.
I don't like that word that much. We'll try to compete day one if we can, from Brooke Pryor's article on the Steelers.
Yeah, I think you can try to, you're going to play hard and you're going to coach them up, but I think you are not signing a 43-year-old, 42-year-old quarterback, and you might be trading away some of the older defenses.
And you might have to be comfortable with being a little uncomfortable for a few years because you've been so used to at least being in the mix for a long time. It might not be that right away.
Yeah, I guess. I like competing.
No, you like bottoming out to get Drake May.
Right.
That's
I did not like that
But
at
you
all.
do- but
That
how
was
do you like it
painful.
now?
Well, now it's nice.
Bro, yeah.
You had to go through that phase.
Yeah.
Trust the
We already
process.
did it. Live from New York, it's a show that's preparing for the most motivational segment in all of sports, the Bud List, and I am excited. Let me just tell you something. I'm excited.
Thanks.
Second hour, first things first. We're trying to sell the audience, Today, did Sean Payton give all of New England and Patriots fans around the world, it's a global franchise,
Yeah.
bulletin board material, and my take that you're not going to see coming. Meanwhile, yeah, it's true, you're not going to see it coming.
Like Drake May with the pass rush.
Much like Drake May with the pass rush. Might not see it coming, but it might still yield great results. But right now, it's time for the most motivational segment in all sports, the Bud List. Also a time where we read viewer mail. A lot of people just think that because we're so close to 1 billion views on YouTube and we're so current, we're very big on
Cutting edge.
social media. They're like, certainly they don't just do old school mail. Wrong, we do. Christina went to the mailbox. Dear Wilds, love the show. Are you nervous about the updated Broncos quarterback depth chart that they just released? Cheers, Ryan and Brian. They did release a brand new depth chart since Bo was out. Stidham, Ellinger, and then, of course, the one and only
Jackson Blade.
Jackson Blade.
Wow. I hope he plays.
Jackson Blade looks amazing.
Stud.
All right, I like that, Wilds. Thank you.
Well done.
Here we
I
go.
thought you might go with a cowboy, like riding a Bronco. I thought we were going to get Cowboy Brew back, but you
I'm sorry, is this dueling pianos?
You know,
Like
you
a
threw
jar,
a
you put a
curveball.
dollar on it?
I do have a request. Can I get a black cowboy hat for Jackson Blade to match the
Please add a black
rest of the
cowboy hat.
rest of the outfit?
Make a request.
Thank you, thank you. All right, number 3. You'll like this, Rob.
Okay, good.
Drake May.
Oh.
First of all, Drake, I think I speak for all football fans outside of Denver or outside of Colorado.
Yeah.
Just get to the Super Bowl. We don't want to see a backup quarterback, Jarrett Stidham, in the Super Bowl. It's just kind of a downer. I get Nick Foles, I get Jeff Hostetler, all that stuff. But is just kind of a downer. I want the MVP.
That's a great point. Do you
One of
think the
the
world
MVP
is pulling for the Patriots?
I just think we would all be more excited going into that Super Bowl, those 2 weeks going into the Super Bowl, if it's Drake Maye versus whoever on the other side versus Jarrett Stidham,
I love that.
whoever on the other side. All right, so now, here's the thing, Drake. The first 2 weeks of your playoff career, you're playing with house money. The Chargers, I get it, you're supposed to beat them, but nobody was going to kill you if you lost your first playoff game to a good team in the Chargers. Certainly no one's going to kill you if you lost to the Houston Texans with one of the best defenses in the league. But now, the pressure's on. Now, you can't lose to Jarrett the Javelin Stidham. All right, so the pressure now is on you. And I say this, and I think you have this mentality, but seize the day. Don't look at this as, man, my second year. Yeah, of course I want to win it, but I'm going to be back. You know, I got plenty of opportunities. No, you don't, not necessarily. Ask Joe Burrow, who made the Super Bowl his second year and has never been back, hadn't even made the playoffs the last 3 years. Ask Dan Marino, who won the MVP, the Super Bowl, got to the Super Bowl his second year. I'm sure he thought he was going back, never got back again. So this is the moment for you, Drake. I believe in you. All right, at number 2.
I like that.
Jarrett Stidham. Speaking of Stidham. All right, what an opportunity. Coach, I think there are very few times in professional sports where you have this type of opportunity.
Bro, I'm not laughing at you. Sorry, the bar. He needs to play like Stidham.
Again, Dusty, that's why he's teammate of the year. All right, but here's the deal, Coach. You have you're on the huge stage.
Yeah.
You have a chance to get to the championship and make history, and there are absolutely no expectations. None. If you go out there and struggle, he's a backup. He's a journeyman. He hasn't thrown, this is true, he hasn't thrown a pass in an NFL game in 2 years. And you expected him to go out there at the AFC Championship game against a good defense and play well? If you don't play well, this is to me high reward, no risk. No risk. Now, there is a little, if you do play well, Jared, I think you put your name in the hat of potentially being a starter. I know you got one more year left in Denver as the backup, but maybe they trade you, I don't know, or, 2 years from now or a year from now, some team brings you in and you have a chance to start in training camp. So this could really change your career. There is a bit of a downside, though. Right now, you've been rolling off of nobody really knows. Nobody's seen you. Jordan Palmer loves you. Thinks you have, I guess, MVP potentially. He said you could play as well as Drake Maye. All right? That's what he said. Josh McDaniels loves you. Sean Payton loves you. So all of us who haven't seen a lot of you are like, well, these are good football guys.
Yeah, sure.
They say he can play. Okay. But now you got to go out there and show us. You'll lose all of that if you don't play well. I'm going to be honest, Jared, I don't really believe in you. But I do think you have a chance to win this game. I actually think that's on the board.
Yeah, and Brew, you talked about him getting a starting quarterback job. He could get a Coors Light, could build a statue in front of the arena and wins a couple games. Like Bud Light did for Nick Foles.
It's happened before. Yeah. All right, at number 1, Sam Darnold. Mm-hmm. This is it, Sam. This is when you put the bust, pumpkin mold, all of that to rest. You bury it right now. You could go from I'm seeing ghosts to I'm raising banners. I'm wearing rings, or at least one. I'm wearing a ring. This is your chance, Sam, to do all of that. Also, and I should have said this yesterday, I would have won must win.
Oh.
Bragging rights in one of the great quarterback classes in recent memory. All right, 2018, you were the 3rd pick. Baker Mayfield was in that draft. Yeah. Josh Allen was in that draft. Lamar Jackson was in that draft. And you could become the first one of those 3 to not win a Super Bowl, get to a Super Bowl.
Pretty good.
That is some serious bragging rights. And so here it is. Now, of course, there is a downside. If you go out there and throw 3 interceptions this weekend, which is your average against Seattle this year, against the Rams this year, sorry to admit that. But if you do that, you are going to have to live with pumpkin mode, bust, all of that. Not bust, but pumpkin mode for the next year, at least. The next calendar year.
Yeah.
Unless you would go next year in the playoffs and be lights out and win. So, Sam, I am starting.
Coming around.
Starting to believe in you.
Yeah.
Starting to believe in you.
Coach, you one of your favorites.
The Bud is it's like a roller coaster ride for me. I'm just hopping on. And first you're saying, nobody wants to see Stidham. Nobody wants to see Backman. I'm thinking, yeah, they do. This is a dream scenario. You come in the AFC Championship game with a chance to take your team to the Super Bowl. That's amazing. And then you put Stidham on the list, and I'm like, oh, okay, he does believe it. And then you're like, no, but I don't believe in it. And then you throw in, he's self-scouting, must win. I mean, it's every week you surprise me.
Thank you.
So I'm going with a little bit different. I'm going with the Patriots offensive line. So this is back-to-back weeks against very good defenses, excellent defenses, but there's been 5 sacks. 5 sacks in the first week, 5 sacks in the second week. But it's got to get easier this week, doesn't it? Doesn't get easier, fellas. So let's just take a look at what you're facing here against Denver. So in terms of sack percentage, 10.3%, first in the NFL. Knockdown percentage, so that's where the ball is actually thrown, but the quarterback's on the ground.
I call that penalty percentage.
First in the league there. There's 13.5%. Hurry percentage, well, what could that be? Well, that's where you have to throw the ball either quicker than you need to or want to, or you got to roll out of the pocket, you got to escape. They're 7th in the league there at 9.3%. So you combine all those together, 40% of the plays, one of those things have been happening during the regular season from this defense. And then you add in the component of the blitz. They bring a lot of pressure. The good news is Drake Maye has handled that very well. Now, with the offensive line, I went and looked at the coaching staff. The Patriots have 3 offensive line coaches. So they don't have Dante Scarnecchia, so they compensated for that by hiring 3 guys. So you got 3 guys to coach everybody up. And when you listen to some of the comments, it's not like Josh McDaniels hasn't been giving you help. Campbell actually said, some of my worst plays are when I've had help because I didn't adjust correctly to it. So it's not like there's been where Josh has overlooked the fact that they might need a little bit of assistance. He's done that too. So I think that you have a real chance, Drake Maye has a real chance to light these guys up if he gets some time, because we saw it from the Prince. The Prince lit him up.
Thank you.
Jackson Dart, he lit him up too. Drake Maye can definitely light him up, but in order for that to happen, you guys can't have any of these blindside hits, and at that point, anything is possible.
Coach, are you first to market with the Patriots blowout take, or do I still have that in my back pocket?
I think it depends on how well he's able to sit in the pocket. But if he has a little bit of time, I think he can light him up.
Wow. That was an excellent.
Market, for whatever it's worth, I'm not saying right or wrong, market's moving against that take. Yesterday when we talked about this game, it was 5.5. It's now 4.5. So some money is coming in for whatever that's worth.
I like it at,
on the
I would like it at
Broncos.
10. Great news, everyone. It is about
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
It's 4:12 on a Thursday, which means it's time for a really great segment. It's the Sports Media Ombudsman, and this time, I got a preview, it's going to be good. That's fair. I'm trying to sell it.
This time.
Do you guys know the subject of the first ever Sports Media Ombudsman? Before it was even called the Sports Media Ombudsman. It was back in the the fall of 2024, during the baseball playoffs, when the internet had decided, Bob Costas, you stink. We don't like your baseball commentary. And I, paraphrasing myself, called the internet a bunch of spoiled, petulant children who didn't appreciate that Bob freaking Costas, arguably the single greatest sportscaster ever, was calling baseball games as a senior citizen, as a service to all of us.
Right.
Now, I also, if I may, just a brief personal story, I had extra motivation for that because when I was 11 years old, I met Bob Costas, walked up to him and said, "Where'd you go to school? What'd you do? How'd you become Bob Costas?" And not only did he say, I went to Syracuse, I worked at WAER, and from that moment, that's the only thing I said I was going to do. He gave me his home address and said, "Write to me." And not only did I write to him, I sent him all my sports takes 3 times a year, and then he wrote me back postcards, good takes once again, and it was the greatest guy ever. However, that criticism really did, it made its way to Costas's door from the internet, and he wasn't on the playoffs last year, and we were all the worse for it, because Bob Costas doing baseball is a great thing in American sports.
Yes.
Well, I was just so pleased to hear that this year, with NBC's coverage of baseball, Bob Costas is back. And it is an honor to be broadcasting, be able to watch sports and hear Al Michaels calling football games, Bob Costas calling baseball games. Again, I understand these are different networks, but these are the legends, the older legends of the field that guys like our folks, came up listening to. So congratulations to Bob Costas. I'm glad he's back. And I think everyone in sports media should be glad he's back.
That was nice.
I told you it was going to be good. You guys are laughing at it.
Generally, it's ripping people.
Well, so listen, the ombudsman, there are no sacred cows for the
I love
ombudsman.
that Bob Costas did that for you.
It's unbelievable.
really
Wrote
nice.
me a letter of recommendation for Syracuse when I was 18 years old. Saw him
Pretty
once
amazing.
a year. It was unbelievable. Yeah, it's great.
It's pretty sick if you get a letter for recommendation from Bob Costas.
Yeah.
He did. He set up,
to Syracuse.
just very, very quickly, he set up a meeting with me and the dean. I met with the dean, and the dean told me, listen, you have a recommendation from Costas. You're a smart kid. Obviously, he's like, but just so you know, you have maybe the worst radio voice I've ever heard. You shouldn't do it. That's true.
Really?
The dean said that?
The dean was like, your voice will never work on radio. It's all nasally and whiny. I was like, oh man, I'm in a rough spot. But I did it. That is true. That's
Have you passed that on to anyone?
the nasally whiny voice?
Not the nasally whiny voice.
Oh.
Have you taken any young broadcasters under your wing and give them your home address and you write back good takes? Or do you criticize their takes?
I've tried to pay it forward as best
He
as I
was,
can.
Guarantee
he
you.
was Zach's mentor for his project.
I was
very
Zach's
thoughtful.
mentor for his project.
there you
There's
go.
yeah, I don't need to get into that. Just
was
I'm
nice.
glad to have
I
Costas.
thought that was a great sports
That
media
was
buzz.
very nice. I like that.
Back to the NFL, I am putting Keon Coleman, really the Bills, on the bud list because during Pagula's press conference, he decided to interrupt the normal procedure and say, I just want to stop down and basically call drafting Keon Coleman a mistake. The only problem is Keon Coleman is still on your team. So every once in a while, I go on the internet. You know, the internet gets serving stuff up to me. And they go, I'm always trying to self-scout like you. You know, red flags, green flags. You've seen that, like red flags in a relationship? I'm in a long-time relationship, call it marriage. But I'm like, I should self-scout. Am I doing any of these red flag things? Yeah. And it's always like, when you go out to dinner, you're rude to the bartender or the wait staff or the hostess. You're just not concerned with the people around you that are making your experience successful. I felt like the Bills organization did that a little bit. Maybe Keon Coleman didn't have the best year. Maybe he was late to a meeting. Maybe he was a healthy scratch. But he was a rookie, and he was on your team, and you did draft him. And I'm sure there's a responsible, more comfortable, more emotionally sensitive way to handle a young player who underachieved on your team. So here's how Keon did this year. Not excellent. Fair. 96th in targets, 128th. Maybe he's not even going to be a future Buffalo Bill. And if he's not...
This is over his 2 years in the
over 2 years, sorry.
Yeah.
This is his second year, I'm sorry.
Hey, that's not a bad year.
Yeah,
No, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, over his 2 years.
Second year on the team. I just didn't like how Keon Coleman was treated, and I thought that this was a bad sign for the organization overall, Coach.
I'm just surprised in a long-term relationship your wife hasn't told you what the red flags are.
I'm always self-scouting. Can I tell you something,
Very
Coach, that
nice.
you want to make it? when I eat peanut butter out of the jar, this is a little pro tip. Don't just put the spoon in the sink, okay? It's covered with peanut butter. Don't do that. Okay?
Hey, that's
You shouldn't need to be told twice.
Yeah, look, in fairness to Keon Coleman, that's not the way you want to find out that the ultimate person who decides your fate doesn't really like you. And not only is he talking about you, but he's talking about you in terms of who's responsible for what a big mistake you are. Now, I don't know how Keon's been in the building or, what his personal activities have been like in terms of meetings and all that stuff. That comes into play. But yeah, there's definitely a much better, more sensitive, thoughtful way to handle it. And that does, look, we're not the only ones that see that. Free agents see that, other players see that. Yeah. And this is a very harsh game, but they're still human beings, and human beings want to be treated with respect.
And any team that was like, I might trade a 5th-round pick for 33rd overall pick, Keon Coleman, now is like, I might be able to get him for a 7th round pick.
You heard his trade.
But, Brew, I think you'll be with me on this, in part because, you do a lot of, I think it's fair to say, mentorship type of things. Keon Coleman's 22 years old. He's very young for a guy who's been in the league 2 years. He came in very young. I look at this press conference as a fork in the road for him. And fork in the roads, sometimes you take the wrong, it doesn't mean now everything's going to be better. He might have watched this and be like, those old dopes don't know what they're talking about, I'm going back to bed. He also, I think it's on the board, he saw that and was like, I'm going to prove that old man so wrong. And I am going to, right, that should have been.
But he's got,
he's had opportunities.
No, not with them, but I'm saying for his career. I'm not saying, I think his career with the Bills is probably over. But who cares?
Yeah.
If you're Keon Coleman, you're 22 years old, you can play another 10 years of good football if you channel what made you the 33rd overall pick and it's been maturity issues. He's sleeping through meetings, he's doing stuff like that. And so maybe this was, while mean and poor form by the Bills, good for him if he takes it as motivation to prove them wrong.
You hope so. The only thing I say is he's had plenty. I mean, when they didn't suit him up, all that stuff. He's had opportunities to be like wake up calls.
Yep.
And apparently hadn't taken them yet. But yeah, you hope that's how it works out.
Coming up next, Sean Payton's bulletin board material. Next. Saturday, college hoops tip off on Fox, noon Eastern. Villanova versus Caravan, number 2 UConn Huskies. And then at 3 o'clock, the Illini taking on number 4 Purdue.
Do you agree with me, KW?
What?
Number 4 is a little high for Purdue. Feel more like
after
the 7th or 8th.
After this recent loss, definitely.
Yeah,
they're a little overrated.
Yeah, that's what I think.
They'll probably lose this one against the Illini.
Against Illinois. Yeah, Illinois is probably better.
Stoyakov, come on. All right, Sean Payton was asked if he had a message for fans who he encouraged to be loud for the game against the Patriots. Here's what he said. You'll love this, Coach.
Coach, for about the past month, you've had a message to fans every single week about noise. Do you have a message for them this week with being the final game?
Well, they're going to have plenty of rest after this one, 2 weeks.
Coach, your reaction to that?
Well, I don't think this is arrogance. I think this is trying to project confidence. And in a situation where you're playing your backup quarterback, maybe he believes that firmly in it, but this feels more like, hey, I'm going to make sure everybody knows how strongly I feel about our chances to win with Stiddy. It wasn't even Stidham, it was Stiddy. And now I saw that Vrabel was asked about it, and he said, we've got plenty of motivation. But I can tell you, the first time we were playing the Steelers in the AFC Championship game, they had talked about how they were doing the logistics for the Super Bowl and getting tickets set up and hotel rooms set up. And I remember when, we talked about that, and when we beat them, our guys were asking the players, hey, can I get those hotel rooms you got? Yeah, so as much as you may say you're not going to use it for bulletin board material, I'm sure there's going to be some 2-week phrase, or they're going to be referencing that. But I get where Sean's coming from. This could be a situation where everybody's like, oh my God, we're playing with the backup quarterback, and he's projecting that no big deal, we're ready to roll, and we're locked in.
I just realized what's about to happen. This is going to be the worst moment
What are you
I've
talking
experienced on this show.
about? Why?
I just realized. No. Oh,
What are you
God.
doing?
Go ahead.
You don't know what
KW.
you're talking. You don't know that. You don't know what's going on.
I think.
Because I have an out-of-the-box take.
Let me hear it.
Brew, you know they call me the mayor of fair.
Yes.
And even though I've been critical of Caleb Williams, for example, after that miraculous throw, I was like, what is there to be critical of? He ran back 26 yards and threw a game-tying touchdown. It was amazing. Sean Payton's bravado has been an easy target on this show.
Yeah.
Starting it's really AFC West focus. And I think he called Bo Nix Mahomesian one time. And then he said, if we didn't beat the Bills, we liked playing against the Chiefs. And
If
didn't
we hadn't
like
lost the
that,
Bills,
or something
yeah.
like that. I am not mad at Sean Payton for this quote as a Patriots fan. Because earlier, Dusty, can you put up the headline? We criticized Sean Payton for this. This Broncos team is capable of winning the Super Bowl. He said that on August 4th, and we all laughed at the guy. But it turns out he was right. That team was capable of winning the Super Bowl, and if Bo Nix didn't get hurt, maybe they would have. That being said, it does count as bulletin board material.
God, dog it.
And
I can't
because the
believe
Chiefs are no longer,
This is.
at the risk of sounding mean, relevant, I will make my first foray to the
Nice.
board. The Door of Destiny bulletin board. Dun, 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 dun. Bump, just
Why
like
is it
you,
so
Nick.
small?
This is
Just
fantastic.
like
What
dun,
is
dun,
this?
dun, 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 dun. Bump,
Yeah, it's harder than it looks. Exactly.
Dun, dun.
You look like a fool.
dun, dun.
And why is it this size?
Great job.
I'm anticipating that we have a lot of people talking trash leading up to the Super Bowl, and it's empty because, the Jets don't talk a lot of trash, to be honest with you. The Panthers don't talk. We had a pretty easy schedule. It's kind of a naked board. There you go. The new bulletin board. Coming up next, Patriots banners. We're not leaving the segment, but it's okay.
That was well done.
I had
like
the
that,
destiny.
Wiles.
I gave you the destiny. You're giving it back to me. Team of the year in the running, finalist. Bro.
Well done, Wild.
Thank you.
But I do agree with Coach. I love this from Sean Payton.
Really?
And I'm sure it was calculated, I would think. But he, watching the full clip, not just cutting it, it almost looked like he said it matter-of-factly, he's that confident with Stidham. And whether it was calculated or it just came out that way, it does to me, his confidence, from the moment he announced that Bo Nix was, out for the season, he has shown nothing but confidence in Stidham and their ability to win. And I'm sure that's, spilling over into the locker room with the players. So I do like, I like Peyton saying this. I love him saying this.
Do you buy that spilling over to the locker room? You think the
yeah.
players are like,
believe it
we
is.
got this?
No,
Not arrogantly, but
I don't think we
they
got
can
this,
win.
but I don't think they feel like we're screwed.
Right.
That's what I think.
And I don't think this is the only thing he's doing to project confidence in that building. That's just what he's doing publicly.
Yeah.
He's doing other things that are projecting confidence in that building that I'm sure will come out after the game.
Very interesting. Head over to Good Morning Football.
No, I don't think so.
All right. I'm sure Good Morning Football talked about Drake May. I'm positive there. I didn't watch the full program, but I'm sure they did. But they also talked about Brandon Cooks.
We're gonna do that
in a
later.
Second. Good Morning Football talked about Drake May. We're going to do our own version of Drake May stuff. Road favorite against a great defense. He's undefeated on the road, and still playing confidently despite dropping the ball several times, Coach, in his first 2 playoff games. Take a listen to his attitude.
I don't think trying to change it. I think last week you change it in case Sean doesn't make the play. So little things like that are just knowing the time and place for it. I think trying to get the ball out of my hand and just being cognizant of the edge rushers and taking care of the football is the number one thing. So if we have time and have a look downfield, me, I'm gonna take a look and take a shot.
Bruce said he didn't like it. He loved it, Coach. Did you like it or love it?
Yeah, I like it, and I think there's going to be real opportunities for him. But I think it's going to be in conjunction with the scheme, because there's a difference between taking your shot and taking advantage of an opportunity. So you got a press corner, man-to-man, post safety. Okay, that's time to take a shot. Or hard sell play action. You got the deep over. It's time to take a shot. You've got the protection is going well. You've set things up, and you take those shots. It's important that he does that, and I think he can hit some of those. Now, that to me though, there's a difference between those opportunities and being reckless. You can't hold the ball against this group. You can't. Yeah, it can't be. I've decided that this is my moment to take a shot because I think a shot is needed. It's got to be, this is the time I'm going to take a shot because this is when the shot is available.
Right.
And that's a big distinction.
And listen, one of the reasons he's been so good against pressure and he's been so good at passing numbers against the blitz and all these things is because he stands in there. And it's also one of the reasons his sack numbers are so high. And these playoffs, his fumble numbers have been high. And this is my concern for this game because if they play in the Super Bowl against the Rams, who I think, with respect to the Pats defense, are going to be able to score points, then I think you have to be some boom bust plays for the Pats. Against a backup quarterback, I feel like they need to just be careful with the ball. And if we coach, here are Drake's fumbles on passing plays so far these playoffs, and this is not a quick pressure at all. He feels the pressure, steps up, pump fakes, and still decides.
Well, Nick, look at how quickly the dude's passed.
No, but hold on. But, Coach, I understand he is passed. But Drake Maye knows it, sees it, and then still rears back to throw the pass.
Yeah, he's getting grabbed.
He's getting grabbed, and instead of eating it, it's like, nah, I'm going to try to make a play. Let me show you the next one. This is the same. Okay, here's the next one. Again, the offensive line was not good on this play. But he sees it, knows it, and still is like, I'm still going to make it. Tucks it, and then is like, no, I'm still going to try to do it. The Texans game, it was more of the same. So is that the first one? You're inside your own 10. This is a quick pressure. There's no doubt about it. But it's in front of him. He sees it's there. He still says, I'm going to try to make the play, and then show the next one. The next one, and there's time, and he's reared back. And so there is a time and a place to be like, man, we've got to go make a play.
But look at this one. The reason you wouldn't think this is going to happen, see how you've got help from the back? There's I'm just saying from his perspective, he knows not only does he have the left tackle, but he's got two people on that pass rusher. The last thing you're thinking.
What Campbell was talking about.
But that's where you're thinking, like, I'm not getting pressure from over there.
I don't doubt that. My point is, the other thing that I think and I think Drake Maye's awesome, but a more experienced quarterback would be thinking, it's 21-10 with 30 seconds left in the first half against a team whose quarterback's thrown 4 interceptions at this point. The only way Houston goes into the half with any type of juice is if I turn the ball over. Now, they recovered this fumble, so you know what I mean? So it ended up being fine. Mm-hmm. It's also why I'm not as generous on the Hail Mary as you, because he tried to turn it over 2 plays before the Hail Mary interception. But like that, to me, Brew, is the concern, that he doesn't need, and we don't have to run the last one, Dust. Like the last one was, we can run it if you want. The last one was just a quick pressure, but and it's hard to blame him. This is the one that, to me, was the least on him. That is a quick pressure from his blind side. The other ones, it felt like he had the opportunity to just eat it or be more conservative, bro.
Well, obviously, you don't want him to be reckless. I like that he said the number one thing is protecting the ball. And I'm sure he went into the Houston game thinking the same thing. But there has had to be a focus on that this week. Like, look, we can't afford turnovers. The only way they can beat us is if we turn the ball over and all that. But I think he has to be himself, Coach. I agree with you. Like, I don't think he can go into this game. Like, some people might say, look, it's a backup quarterback. You don't have to score 30 points. Just be conservative, and don't make mistakes. But that, to me, is playing not to lose versus playing to win. And I think they have to go out there and play to win. Now, again, don't be reckless and stuff, but he's taken shots all year. He's been the best deep ball thrower in the league. So I just think he has to have the mentality. And as a coach, I don't really want to take that away from him either. I think you've said it before. Sometimes a young guy is best. You don't know what you don't know. And again, you can't be reckless. You have to walk a balance. But I want him to have an aggressive mindset and be ready to burn him.
And one of the things that I said when we talked about Drake Maye early and Kevin was talking about the doorstep to destiny, sacks were a real issue in the early part of the season, and it got a lot better. And even though I put the offensive line on the bud list, sacks it is a combination of both the quarterback and the offensive line. So he does have accountability there. It is frustrating the fact that they've gone from that he's doubled his sack total, percentage-wise in the playoffs. But to Nick's point, you don't want him to totally go into a shell, but more games in the NFL are lost than won, and this game could be lost more so than won, especially considering you do have a backup quarterback situation.
I think I'm ready to go on to Good Morning Football.
It's a good idea, KW.
Good morning
Football.
That's quite a tease.
Had Brandon Cooks on the show, and he talked about his catch that wasn't. Take a listen.
At the end of the day, it was a catch. Not just what it looked like you said, but what it felt like. You see examples throughout the league all year in previous years, and you're like, wait a minute, if that was the catch, then there's no brainer that this was the catch. But I think when you look back at it, the time that was spent on it to review it wasn't enough. And, given the magnitude of that game and the situation, it's a little disappointing.
I like the honesty. Nick, your reaction?
Yeah, I mean, this is not productive. This is par for the course. This team, they whined about the tush push for 5 months after their last playoff loss. In my contemporary, the last team that really whined about something for months. This has only been 5 days, but for months after, was the Eagles and the field in the Super Bowl, because it was such a weird. People don't remember the Super Bowl 3 years ago. When the Chiefs had the ball, they played on turf. When the Eagles had the ball, they played on grass.
Unconventional.
A lot of
guys
delays.
Were in there.
They had to. It was so
European
weird.
soccer. They're bringing the grass.
And again, correlation, causation, I don't know, but that was the year the Eagles team tanked at the end. It also feels like so much of football culture is accountability. You know what I mean? And this feels like whining. And I know Brandon Cooks wants to be back with the Bills next year. I think they probably hope to have him back. I don't look at it as a guy who's like, that was my last game and I got screwed. I don't think it's productive. I don't think it's good. I don't think blaming the refs, particularly for what was the correct call, is the way to go about things.
Yeah, it's funny. I run into people all the time who still complain about the tuck rule, with Tom Brady, and they said, that was a fumble. And it's like, yeah, the ring's still there.
Right.
So you can complain about it all you want. It's not going to do anything. It doesn't matter. And, things have already changed dramatically. That whole organization has turned over because of catch, no catch. So to Nick's point, the only people that care are Buffalo fans.
Look, I agree with you guys, but if I was in Brandon Cook's shoes, I'd probably be saying the same thing. It probably makes him feel better that it was a catch. I caught that. That's what it's like a defense mechanism. But I don't think it was a catch. I think it was the right call on the interception. And, you saw him after everybody talks about Josh and Deion Dawkins crying. He was crying too, and I think he probably feels like he let the team down as well. It's a tough catch, and you can say he should have, you would have liked him to really secure it, but he didn't, so he probably feels bad. So I get what he's doing, but it was the right call.
Can I say one other thing? I do not believe Brandon Cooks. I watched Brandon Cooks. I watch football 12 hours a Sunday, every Sunday. He did not react like a player who thought he had just made the game-winning catch.
That's a good point.
He reacted like a player who was like, oh, my God, he took the ball from me. Brandon Cooks did not get up after that, signal first down.
You've got to do that,
But I'm just saying, in real time, in the moment,
yes,
his body language and reaction was not a player who was shocked. Oh, my, what do you mean interception?
Right.
He knew it in real time.
That's what, to circle back to the Patriots and the Drake Maye, when I was at that game, the fact I didn't like that Drake was coming off the field so quickly. you got to immediately just like, I was throwing forward. Like, stay here. The offense stays on. We're not going anywhere. You got to sell it. Sunday on Fox, a trip to Super Bowl 60 is on the line. The Rams are in Seattle. 6 o'clock, 3 o'clock Pacific time, only on Fox. We're going to discuss that game right now. Sam Darnold trying to get to the Super Bowl after yet another 14-win season. Let's check out his ranks the last 2 years. He's 29-7, including the playoffs. That's the best win-loss record in the entire league. Passing yards, he's third. Yards per pass, he's third. Touchdowns, he's got 62, that's fifth. And his passer rating, just a hair over 100, is eighth. The question is, if he wins this game and goes to the Super Bowl, are you willing to say that he's an elite quarterback?
No, because this, you're not even saying, and he plays awesome in the game. But even if he plays awesome and they get there, one awesome playoff performance judged against the entirety of his career, and part of the entirety of his career is 2 consecutive excellent regular seasons, doesn't take you from wherever he is right now to elite. And there has to be more of a path from. He can't go into this game. It's like he might be pure pumpkin or elite. Like there's got to be a middle ground. Like because
I know it's shocking though, but it feels like he can.
Not to me. When I'm listening, no matter how he plays this Sunday. Now, plays great this Sunday, they get to the Super Bowl, plays great in the Super Bowl, they win this, then that is now more of a discussion. But there is nothing that can happen on Sunday to where if Monday people are like, Nick, name the elite quarterbacks in the NFL, I say Sam Darnold. I mean, I wouldn't. I think that's fair.
Yeah, I feel like if you had the picture of the pumpkin and he plays great, then half the pumpkin gets eliminated, and then he plays great in the Super Bowl, then the other half of the pumpkin gets eliminated, but you don't get to move up from elite there, you just get the pumpkin erased. There's too much pumpkin to go from pumpkin to elite.
Yeah, I agree. Like, the thing is this, because Wiles, you might be thinking, well, he has had 2 really good elite regular seasons.
Yeah, great.
And if those were his first 2 years or 2 of his first 3,
Definitely.
then I think if he goes out and plays great this weekend, we would think, okay, he's elite. We might be thinking he's elite already if these were early in his career. Mm-hmm. But he has those 6 seasons, I think it's 6 seasons of just poor play. And so you do have to factor that in. I even go to, and you guys mock me sometimes, Rich Gannon. Rich Gannon had 11 bad or mediocre seasons and then went to Oakland for 4 straight years, made the Pro Bowl, 2 times was All-Pro, and won the MVP and got to the Super Bowl and lost. And he was not considered elite, I don't believe. And so I do think there's a path for Sam this year, though. If he cooks against the Rams, it's great. And if he cooks in the Super Bowl and they win, I think you'd have to say he's elite. But elite quarterbacks are viewed as the reason we won, right? And right now he's not a system guy, but he's certainly not he's kind of the weak link right now.
I mean, they have one of the best offenses in the league. They happen to have one of the best defenses as well.
He's the major concern going into this game for Seattle. Like, is he going to play well?
And remember, the first time they played, we talked about this being a moment for him, and then he threw the 4 picks.
KW.
Where are you at?
Do you think he's better than Jared Goff? I don't think you do.
I probably don't. But the problem, what I don't like, and it happened to Jalen Hurts a little bit, if there's nothing the guy can do outside of getting into a time machine, I think it's unfair.
No, it's KW. But I guess what I would say is we're not saying never. We're just not saying immediately. Well, you're asking for it to be immediate. He has in his career, he has played 2 playoff games. One he was awful. One he was somewhat non-existent.
They won the game by 30.
I understand, but I'm not holding that against him. But it's not like he was.
We haven't seen.
And so I think it's that the last 2 months of the year he had 8 touchdowns, 8 picks, and they were 8-0. I don't think that one good game, all of a sudden, you're better than Jared Goff. You're better than Jalen Hurts. You're better than quarterbacks that we don't consider elite.
I don't know if anyone needs to leave the elite club.
I think we should
for him
give
to go
Kevin
in.
some love, though, for his take that Minnesota should have kept him.
Yeah, no, that's.
I mean, he stood on the table all through that period.
Those guys aren't in the elite club.
New teammate of the year, Coach Mingy.
Nobody has to leave it, but those guys aren't in it. So everyone
Who's
in
the elite club? Live from New York, first things first, overtime today. Is there a chance, and Danny Parkins is going to make the argument, I think, that the Seattle Seahawks are an all-time great squad? Meanwhile, what would another Super Bowl mean for Matthew Stafford? Is this if he wins it or if he just makes it?
First if he makes it, and then we can build from there.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Got the case for both.
And finally, Travis Kelce opens the door to playing next year. Maybe the full season, maybe just a cameo. More than a cameo.
Well, again, to be clear, he's not talking about a cameo or anything. This is your pet theory.
He's opening the door, certainly. He said it's great to see EB in the building.
Yeah.
That means he's going to be in the building, not for like old timers day.
Well, that's what I would hope.
But his access card still works, so he could just come to the building.
I
don't know
would
if
think
that's
he
true,
might be
security-wise, you're allowed to
around.
do that.
He might be around there. Does he stay in Kansas City?
I mean, he does live in Kansas City,
He
but
might
he
be
plays for the
around
team.
I don't know
he's
if
a
Taylor
world
Swift is going to
traveler.
live in Kansas City. Don't get me wrong, the
No.
Royals tickets are a great deal.
Such a.
I'm just saying, I don't know if
You're
he could
such a
live
bad guy.
anywhere in the world.
You're from somewhere in nowhere, Connecticut, and I never make fun of you.
Wow, submarine capital of the world.
See this guy.
Chris Broussard, Kevin Wilde, Nick Wright, and Danny Parkins, who is about to educate everyone on a little football history. I'm excited.
Sure. Something that might happen.
Yeah. Welcome. Sean Payton did two things while meeting with the media the other day. One, he encouraged the fans to be loud in Denver when the Broncos host the Patriots. Two, he gave the Patriots some bulletin board material. Danny, I put him on the bulletin board.
I loved the bulletin board. That was great.
Take a listen.
Well, they're going to have plenty of rest after this one. 2 weeks. Josh is fantastic at putting together good plans offensively. I mean, and so there's alerts, there's kills, there's all, and so that, look, let's go. You know, right when I keep emphasizing, just as the huddle begins until the ball snap.
He's really big on them making noise while the other team is huddled. He has made that point 2 weeks in a row that fans typically get loud once they're already going to the ball, and he thinks the most important thing is when they're in the huddle trying to communicate the play.
Smart.
That does make sense.
Yeah,
Of course it does.
it makes sense, but I've never heard a coach. He's really trying to coach. I've been very critical of Sean Payton. I want to give him credit because he is now also coaching up the fans.
Right.
He is this is how we have a real advantage, all those things.
When I was at the Bears game, by the way, just real quick, every time on the scoreboard it was quiet please when they were on offense because the Bears have never had a good offense, so they didn't know.
Just scream.
Yeah, screaming at
I
all
don't
times.
like when I'm at a game being reprimanded by the
But
quarterback.
it's literally like Caleb Williams and the video board going, shh. It's hilarious.
All right, more likely the Patriots blow out the Broncos or the Broncos upset the Patriots. Parkins.
So I think the game will be close, so my prediction is not either one of these, but more likely is Patriots blowout.
There we go.
Right? I mean, it has to be on the board that Jarrett Stidham is just bad. If we don't think that Bo Nix is great, maybe league average, somewhere around there, maybe slightly above average, and this is his backup, so Jarrett Stidham is worse than a quarterback who is league average, and Drake Maye this year is a top 2 quarterback in the sport, that's a huge disadvantage. We've seen, if we define blowout as what? Double digits?
Yeah.
Right?
14.
More than
yeah.
All right, well, Jacksonville, right? That's the only team that blew out Denver this
only
year.
one.
Yeah, it happened once, and that game was 34-20. Bo Nix had a fumble and a pick, and Trevor Lawrence played a great game. Now, those turnovers only actually did lead to 3 points, but it was just a lot of empty possessions for Denver because of inconsistent quarterback play. And so, Jarrett Stidham, it is obviously on the board that this is too much for him. 4 career starts, 0 passes this year, that he is completely overwhelmed by the moment, and that would lead to a blowout.
So, yeah, it's certainly blowout is on the board, but I totally disagree with that. That's the more likely of the two things, because I think the Broncos winning is also on the board, and I think the Broncos winning, is more likely than the Patriots annihilate them. And I disagree with the Bo Nix, Jarrett Stidham analysis. Like, Bo Nix this year was, I think, 27th in passer rating, for whatever that's worth. And they won a bunch of games this year with what was not league average quarterback play, with what was bad quarterback play. I also don't think, let me make this very clear. I do believe Bo Nix is better than Jarrett Stidham. However, if Stidham were better than him, I don't think that means Stidham would have been the starter.
That's true.
You know what I mean? Bo Nix was the guy they drafted. They were growing with him. That I think that even if Stidham was marginally better than him in training camp, there was no quarterback competition in Denver this year. Like, that was that's the guy they would be going with. And so, while I do not think it is on the board, Jarrett Stidham gives them the level of quarterback play they got from Bo Nix last week, and they needed every last bit of it. It's the best game of his career. I do think it's on the board. He gives them the level of quarterback play they were getting in September and October from Bo Nix, where they beat good teams and won games. And so if the path, just like you were saying, the path for a Patriots blowout is we know what it is. Stidham is just bad. The path for a Broncos upset, we also know what it is. That they don't recover half of Drake Maye's fumbles, that the Broncos defense that the Patriots offensive line gets beat up again, and the Patriots defensive front goes from going up against two of the two worst offensive lines in the playoffs to the best offensive line in the playoffs, and they're not able to wreak as much havoc. And this is a 13-13 game in the balance, and you have a young quarterback on the road to go to the Super Bowl. Like, like you said, I'm also not predicting the thing that I think is more likely, but I think we are more likely on Monday to be discussing a 16-13 Broncos win than a 31-10 Patriots win. I do think that.
Yeah, I think both things are on the board. And I'm with Nick, though. I'm not made my pick yet, but obviously I think I'm going to pick the Patriots. I expect them to win. But I could see a Broncos win. Like, it's not hard for me to envision a Broncos win. And like you said, it's just the pass rush, which is the best in the league, getting to Drake making some mistakes, the Broncos playing an otherwise great game defensively and smart game offensively, and Stidham being careful with him, not putting him in positions to make mistakes. He's probably a smart quarterback and a quick processor, and he does just enough to get them a few points. Maybe one touchdown or none, but maybe one touchdown he throws and they run for another. Low-scoring game that Denver wins. I think this is going to be a tough game for the Patriots.
I do too. I think this is going to be a low-scoring, close game. Like, that is what my pick would be. My bets will correlate to that. But I just think the biggest X factor here is a quarterback who's thrown 0 passes this year.
The last 2 years.
Yeah, and so I think it is most likely, like, what's the more likely result? Jarrett Stidham great game or Jarrett Stidham bad game?
Jarrett Stidham bad game is a more likely result, but there's
a middle ground.
And also the Broncos, I don't think the Broncos lose all of the bad Jarrett Stidham games. They lose all of the awful Jarrett Stidham games, but I don't think they necessarily, I don't think Jarrett Stidham bad game guarantees a loss. I also think, right now will say, at the very least, I believe the best first half any quarterback will have played against the Patriots in these playoffs will be Stidham on Sunday. He is going to be better than Herbert was in that first half, and certainly better than C.J. Stroud was in that first half.
It would be impossible to be worse.
The Patriots forced, to their credit, just 1 out of 100 quarterback performances from the opposing quarterbacks, and those games were one-score games deep into the second half. Like the Patriots, and again, the flip side to it, Wilds, is I don't think, we might disagree, I don't think Drake Maye's played a great game yet. He's had great moments, but I don't even know if he's played a good full game yet, and they've won both the games comfortably. So that's a testament to how good the Patriots team has been. But I don't think there's going to be huge drop-off from playoff Justin Herbert, whatever's going on with C.J. Stroud, and Jarrett Stidham. as far as the quarterbacks the Patriots have been up against?
I'm pretty confident that the Patriots are going to blow out the Broncos.
Oh, you're predicting a blowout.
Love that.
Yeah,
Good for you.
I think so. And we have won both of our games pretty easily. Like, we won the Chargers game pretty easily, and Justin Herbert, like, people were picking the Chargers to win. It wasn't like all of a sudden it was oh my goodness, turns out the Chargers offensive line isn't great, and the Patriots took care of it. A lot of people, some whole shows, picked the Texans to win. They knew that C.J. Stroud had a bad game against the Steelers.
But you thought the Texans game was an easy game, or you guys pulled away at the end?
Right. They were within
the final score
going
it's a 5-point game, and Booty makes the catch of the year.
Right.
Like,
does that count or no?
No.
Yeah, but I mean,
that
was at the end.
But you're saying
the final score was a blowout,
like,
technically.
You
but
you felt you watching that. You were at the game.
No, I mean, I
felt like that was an easy win.
I felt like we were in control of the game.
I do think you were in control of the game.
So
never in danger of losing it.
We put up 28 points. You know, we had a pick 6. That, like, it's a team game. So here's the why I think we're going to blow out the Broncos. One, and this is like, well, this is going to be close. This is going to be, iron sharpens iron. Drake Maye is the best completion percentage. Broncos defense is, best at stopping it. But Danny, I'm going to read you a list of quarterbacks, and you tell me which one you think Drake Maye belongs in. And look, hurt people. Okay? I have been having to deal with the slings and arrows of a cupcake schedule, knowing that the Broncos also had a cupcake schedule. But everyone can, and Drake Maye has gotten happy off of playing weaker defenses, even though the defense is actually okay. But I think the Broncos defense has also gotten fat and happy off of playing these quarterbacks. They held Cam Ward to 12 in his debut, Jake Browning to 3, Justin Fields to 11, Geno to 7, Davis Mills to 15, and these count even though they were late in the year, Olajuwon to 13, and Trey Lance to 3 when the Chargers were resting everyone. Yeah. So tell me if Drake Maye belongs in that caliber of quarterback or this caliber of quarterback. Josh got 30 this weekend. Trevor got 34. Daniel Jones put up 28. Jordan Love put up 26. Mariota put up 26. Jackson Dart put up 26. Dak put up 24. So I don't think it's going to be 13-10. I think it's going to be 21-28. I do think we can have, if not a defensive score, I don't think a guy who hasn't thrown a pass in 2 years is going to have a flawless game, but Drake Maye might be rattled. I don't think that actually makes rational sense.
No, I think the rattled would be, it's the crowd noise, it's the road, it's all of that. I think that really matters in the NFL playoffs. And I also, if we're going to do the tit for tat on that, what I will say is this, because Drake May's been great on the road. The converse is, who are if we have it, I think we do, the road defenses that they've played. So none of them are good. The best one's the Bills, and you swore to me all year the Bills defense was bad. So this is far and away the best defense he has faced in a tough environment. And so I do think like that is the.
And there's a big mismatch of Broncos pass rush, Patriots left side of the offensive line. Like that could there could be 3 more fumbles in this game.
Yeah.
Right? Like that is just a undeniable mismatch.
If you turn the ball over a bunch of times,
correct.
I don't care if you're Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl, it's not going to work. Yeah. He has to hold on to the ball, but I am predicting a comfortable win, and I think that instead we come on like, oh, it's, 14-10. I think we're saying, of course. The defense is really good, and they're playing an MVP against a guy who hadn't thrown a pass in 2 years.
When you say it like that, it makes a lot of sense.
You know what, Danny? That's why you're teammate of the year.
Oh, wow. Thanks, buddy.
Rams Seahawks, Sunday at 6. This one's on Fox. Darnold says he's going to play confident. Take a listen.
I got to take care of the football at the end of the day. And, that's where my mind's at. But, if we get the right coverage and the right play and I feel like the guy's open, I'm going to let it rip. We've kind of seen throughout the playoffs, honestly, too, like teams that take care of the football are, usually the ones that end up in the win column at the end of the day.
Just for the record, not always. Danny, is it on the board that the Seahawks are an all-time great team?
Shockingly, yes.
I like this.
I've said that they have been the first or second best team in the NFL all year. and they have the most blowout wins, and they have the best point differential. So those were things for like this season. But I honestly hadn't really looked until Pack Stats yesterday and the comparison to the Legion of Boom of where they ranked historically. But if you do scoring 28 or more, and we have the list of the teams here, and allowing 17 or less, it is a who's who of some teams that you just know. And only the 90 Bills did not win the Super Bowl. And if you look at it, it's like, okay, does it feel like a Sam Darnold-led team belongs on that list? Probably not. But if all of the underlying stats and the accomplishments, and then they have to get it done, right? Like the 90s Bills also did not win the Super Bowl. But if they actually end this thing with a Lombardi Trophy, and the stats are their point differential is all time, their points allowed is low, their points scored is high, why wouldn't they be?
Go ahead.
I say the thing, if they can you can put that list back up there. The only quarterback who wasn't great,
Mark Rippon.
Yeah, Rippon and Jim McMahon with the Bears.
Well, right, but Mark Rippon he was second team All-Pro that year, fourth in MVP.
That wasn't Riggins. Riggins was before that.
Correct.
I'm just saying.
Hall of Famers on.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like a lot of the elite teams in history have had great offensive players, great like Hall of Fame. Now again, some of these defenders might emerge as that.
JSN,
but Seattle's got JSN. But outside of him, there's nobody I see on that offensive team, that I'm saying like is all-time great. And so that would be, and then you got the Darnold factor. Unless is he about to go on? Now, look, 5 years from now, if he has become one of the best quarterbacks in the league, won a Super Bowl, then we'll look back at this like, oh, yeah, that'll change things. But right now, it's hard for me to say a team is all-time great with Sam Darnold at quarterback.
So I think on that graphic, the only team that I feel like would be a comp is the 91 Washington team that our friend Stink was on. Because when people talk about the greatest teams in NFL history, nobody ever mentions them.
Mm-hmm. Right.
They were not wildly memorable.
Right.
They didn't have a bunch of iconic players. But if you look at the data, it's like certainly one of the most dominant single seasons ever. And this is similar to, I want to make this clear, the Texans thing I was doing last week. It is predicated on if they end up running the table. You know what I mean? If they win the whole thing. If this team wins the whole thing, they will have gone 17-3. The 3 losses will have been week 1 of the season, where they had down 4 with a chance to win, fumble the ball.
Does not count.
Famously.
38-35 game to Baker and the Bucs, where they're up 7 with 90 seconds left, allow a touchdown, fumble, either a kick return or shortly thereafter, lose on a field goal. And by 2 to a Rams team, when they turned the ball over 4 times, that they then went back and beat twice more.
Yep.
Would have had one of the hardest schedules in the best division in football. And their first playoff game, they won by 35 points. And so if they do all that and then beat and then win the Super Bowl, it will, I think, objectively be one of the greatest seasons ever. An all-time great season.
Feel like
it doesn't feel like that. But it's just
all season long we've said, are there any great teams? And this is a year that feels like a down year kind of for the league.
How much of that, Brew, do you think is because we don't if Seattle was on the East Coast in a market,
if the Cowboys were having this,
even if the Giants
But a lot of it is that, like I said, like even that Jim McMahon team, they had Walter Payton. They don't have an elite all-time running back, an all-time quarterback. JSN, okay, I'll give you him.
Could be.
But that Washington team, that's a great comp. Like you said, the data would say they're one of the all-time great teams. Does anybody think of them as one of the all-time great teams?
I wonder if it's because we don't have any momentum for this team. That it's not even like the Chiefs team that you saw lose to the Patriots, but here comes Mahomes and Tyreek's
That's
explosive, and even the Eagles had a great run. Like they lost in the Super Bowl, then a down. You have a story. This is just bang. Sam Darnold's now on the Seahawks, and they're an all-time great team.
What did they win last year?
10. They
10,
won
right?
10 and missed the playoffs. And
missing the playoffs, I guess, because they were good last year. And McDonald was talked about as a really good coach last year, and their roster is deep. And I went back and looked because Stink would say 91 Washington, best team in NFL history, and then you go back and look at it, it's like Ernest Biner, like Darrell Green, like you know what I mean? It's like a weird Darrell Green, excuse me. Yeah, it's just like it's a weird moment in time. But there were 6 guys who made All-Pro that year.
Can I ask you another question, Danny? And don't mean to put you on the spot if you don't know it, but you are the king of cool stats.
Oh, here we go.
Does the 20 whatever you put the cap on it, 28-17, I think,
yeah,
is like the new sort of offense skew this at all when we're comparing teams from the 90s, or is it?
Oh, you mean because it would cut in both directions because that would mean it's harder to keep teams under 17.
How it affects it.
I think this is. Listen, I'm going to pick the Rams this weekend. I think the Rams had bad punt coverage on Rashid Shaheed's return, and that's the reason they're not the 1 seed. I've disagreed with Brew.
Rashid Shaheed.
But I've disagreed with Brew players. That there's not a great team. But the great team that I think is playing in this game is the Rams. It's like I am not projecting any of this, but this to me feels like as an element almost of fairness. If you have played one of the toughest schedules in the toughest division, had the best record, annihilated your first playoff opponent, and you have been blowing people out all year, even if going into the year we didn't really believe in you because we don't really believe in your quarterback and you play in the Pacific Northwest, to me that is...
You are right there on the verge of calling Sam Darnold elite, though. You're right there on the verge.
No, but you could be on an elite team without having an elite quarterback and some of the guys there. Yeah. What's interesting to the era point, though, the Eagles would tell you that last year's team was an all-time great team.
They kept saying it.
And by point differential, they were. And by the stretch that they went on down the stretch. Yeah. So I do think maybe now there are, the teams at the bottom are worse. So we have more blowouts. I would like to look into that.
Yeah, I think that is a thing. That just the bad teams are really bad. That there is no sort of middle class of the NFL anymore.
Yeah, because this team, at the end, they are going to have a very easy case to make, even if no one will believe it.
I'm going to call Sam Darnold elite.
You wouldn't do that 40 minutes ago.
You just laid out a great point. You just ran the hardest schedule. They're blowing
Darnold's guy.
You did
all that was about the Seahawks.
But
you called the team elite.
Well, who's leading the offense?
Sam Darnold.
There you go.
guys, you walked right into that one.
Guy's an elite. If a restaurant this is the best restaurant, this is one of the best restaurants in the world. Hey, is the chef any good? No, actually no. Actually not good.
He's good. He's not great.
Well, how's the food get so good?
Thanks for hanging out with us on Frenemies, a breaking news edition. The Ravens have just made it official in the last minute that they have made a hire. Chargers defensive coordinator Jesse Minter is Lamar Jackson's new head coach. The Chargers defense ranked 9th in points and 1st in opponent passer rating. The 42-year-old Minter, former defensive coordinator at Michigan, of course with the Chargers, had a coaching stint earlier in his career with the Ravens. Nick, do you like this hire for Baltimore?
I don't dislike it. I feel like for almost any of the first-time head coaches, a lot of people in our position, opinion is informed by what we are told about the person. And so he did seem to be, of all the first-time head coaches, potential first-time head coaches that were in the cycle, the hottest name 2 months ago, 1 month ago, certainly on the defensive side, with Clint Kubiak being on the offensive side. I do find a lot of it very interesting. First of all, almost the entirety of his kind of adult football life, if you will, has been with one of the Harbaughs.
Yep.
So he was with Baltimore from 17 through 20 with John Harbaugh, brief stint at Vanderbilt, then Michigan with Jim Harbaugh, wins national championship, and then last year, obviously, or last couple of years with Jim Harbaugh at Michigan, or with the Chargers, and now he takes over for John Harbaugh. I think it is interesting that the Ravens' plan is for Lamar. They hope for Lamar's entire career him to never have an offensive-minded head coach, and I also think it is interesting that they are taking what I consider a big swing here rather than going stability of whether it's Mike McCarthy or whomever. Like, I know they weren't interviewing Matt Nagy, but someone who has been a head coach before, they're taking a swing, and it's impossible to judge it. It does seem like he's a very Ravens type of hire, but I thought they might go outside of the box on this.
Yeah, I think that Jesse Minter did a great job with the Chargers. Like, if you just think about their roster, their defense outperforms the level of talent that is on their defense. They have good players, but Herbert's expensive, Slater's expensive, Alt's expensive. They've used first-round picks on the offensive side of the ball. And then you look at their defense and it's like, wow, number one rush defense 2 years ago. This year, number one in opponent passer rating, dealt with some edge rushing injuries this year, Khalil Mack most notably, and they still performed pretty consistently. I have no other deduction or conclusion to come to there than that's good coaching, right? Like, they overachieved relative to the talent level on that side of the ball. You know, I like younger coaches, so 42 years old can just, you got a long runway in theory. If it works, you can be there for a long time. But I too would have thought they would have gone offense, because the thing you've got to figure out is, can you transition Lamar Jackson from great quarterback and elite athlete to just great quarterback as the athleticism wanes into his 30s? And now the immediate question becomes, who is Jesse Minter going to hire to be Lamar's offensive coordinator?
And listen, our friend and colleague Diana Rossini reporting that Lamar, has some affinity for Cliff Kingsbury. That to me would be very interesting.
Yeah, that would make sense.
I think Cliff is a very good offensive coordinator, and I think that's the job he should have. I didn't, whether it was at Texas Tech or at Arizona, I didn't love Cliff as a head coach, but everywhere he's been as an offensive coordinator makes a ton of sense. It also, I believe Jesse Minter's first job is developing a relationship with Lamar Jackson, because the fact that Lamar, whatever the relationship with Harbaugh was at the end, well before we were at the end, the head coach of the Ravens over the last 4 years has not been able to get an accurate read on the health status of the quarterback of the Ravens. The quarterback of the Ravens is the same guy. We now have a new head coach, so I don't know what pointers, John Harbaugh can tell his brother to tell Jesse, or how they can get together, whatever it is. But I find it very interesting that, that they are hiring a guy that was there when Lamar was drafted, a guy that there's not many players on the defense that were there then, but that the team itself is familiar with, and a guy who learned under John Harbaugh.
Right. Mike McDonald was there. They lost him. Obviously can't bring him back. He's the head coach in Seattle, but they're bringing this guy back. There's something like Apple releases a new product, and you're like, it's probably going to be good. They got into the watch game. It was very popular. I do think that there is something to be said of, the Ravens are a really good organization, and they know this guy, and they deserve the benefit of the doubt.
Oh, yeah.
Just benefit of the doubt, tie goes to competency. They're a well-run organization. I'm sure, not sure anybody can flame out or get over-promoted, but they know this guy, and they deserve the benefit of the doubt that they're going to get it right.
Oh, and he was I think the hottest candidate of any of the people that didn't have coaching experience. I like this hire more than I would have liked Robert Saleh. I'll tell you that much.
I agree. More upside.
And so I like this hire more than I would have liked Jeff Hafley, which was one we didn't spend much time talking about, but I was a little surprised that he got a head coaching job this cycle. I don't want to repeat myself. It is bold to say we're the Baltimore Ravens. We're just sticking with a defensive culture and a defensive head coach. Brian Billick they had those great defenses, but he was an offensive guy.
Yep.
John Harbaugh was a special teams guy. And so I guess another way to look at it is this is the first defensive-minded head coach they've had because Billick was offense and Harbaugh was special teams, even though we thought of those teams as when they won championships as defensive teams.
Yeah, we talked about how special this job opening is and how rare it is to be able to coach an MVP under 30. They're hiring, they know how good the job opening is, and they're entrusting it to this guy.
To reiterate that point, in the last 50 years in the NFL, man, prior to 3 weeks ago.
Twice, right?
No, well, twice, but the same player.
Same team.
The only MVP quarterback in his 30s to have the head coach, or before he turned 30, pardon me, job come open was Brett Favre. And Brett Favre, it wasn't because they fired Mike Holmgren. Mike Holmgren wanted more power. They wouldn't give it to him, so he left.
Yep.
They then hired Ray Rhodes, didn't like it after 1 year, brought in Mike Sherman. This never happens. And in the last 3 weeks, two of these jobs have come open. One of them's now filled, and now we see what the Bills do.
Yeah, it being filled by a first-time head coach is a pretty crazy thing. Big come-up for Jesse Minter. Let's talk Matt Stafford because he is on the precipice of reaching a second Super Bowl. He obviously has the one ring, and people think he is about to win his first MVP. I'm going to make the case for you here, and the question is, what does a second MVP mean for Stafford?
A second Super Bowl
appearance mean for Stafford? And when you just start, parsing the list, put it together. These are quarterbacks who have won an MVP and appeared in 2 Super Bowls. He'd be the 12th to ever do it. And the list is a who's who of the NFL. Everyone who's eligible to make it into the Hall of Fame did, except for Joe Theismann, obviously Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady. They'll be there shortly. But if he wins the Super Bowl, you can cut out 4 names from that list, and it gets down to 7 guys who have done it. And am I ready to make a Matt Stafford as the 8th greatest quarterback of all time argument? No, but he is also going to be top 5 in passing yards next year, assuming Aaron Rodgers retires. It is very quickly going to be a pretty ironclad all-time great case when it comes to accomplishments for Matt Stafford.
So listen, I think let's just go player for player.
Sure.
And let's just say wins this weekend, we don't know what happens in the
Yeah, we can
Super
take it
Bowl.
step at a time, sure.
Matt Stafford, all-time quarterback ranking versus, we'll start with the easy one, Phillip Rivers.
Stafford.
Versus Eli.
Stafford.
Now it gets harder. Versus Big Ben. So Big Ben never
makes it.
Big Ben never won an MVP.
Right.
But to me, he is even with, and I'll say, even if he wins the Super Bowl, I don't know if I'd elevate him ahead of Big Ben.
With an MVP and 2 rings and top 5 all-time passing?
So Big Ben is, the consistent excellence, also 2 rings, would have a 3rd appearance.
Yep.
And then the other name I was going to say, Drew Brees. Drew Brees, no MVP, only 1 Super Bowl. It would be hard for me to argue, even though he would have those accolades, like Big Ben and Drew Brees, not on any of those graphics.
Right. Brees second all-time in passing.
Yeah, I'm not ready to elevate him past the room those guys are in. I'll put him in the room with them. But and so all those guys you mentioned, especially on your second graphic, are in a totally separate room.
I mean, the second graphic is Brady, Bradshaw, Montana, Mahomes, Bart Starr, Peyton Manning, and John Elway.
Yes.
It's arguably the 4 of the 7 greatest quarterbacks of all time. The counting stats piece of it for him is interesting because he's always just been a gunslinger. Sometimes he played on bad teams, so he's trailing a lot. Some of it's a garbage time argument, time in Detroit. But if he does play 3 more years,
well, he's not playing 3 more years, bro.
He's 37 years old.
He almost retired. He's not. Listen, if he compiles more and more and more, but
he plays 1 more year, he becomes the 5th all-time leading passer. If he plays 3 more years, he becomes 3rd. Yeah. And he would pass Favre and Favre and Peyton. He'd pass Favre and Peyton if he plays 3 more years. It's just he needs a few thousand yards extra, then all of a sudden gets him up there. I don't know. It's an exclusive club.
Listen, here is where I will just pump the brakes a bit, and I am a huge Stafford guy. As of 6 weeks ago, he was an underdog to be a Hall of Famer. And so I'm not going to say within 10 weeks of being an underdog to be a Hall of Famer, he can then become a top 10 all-time quarterback.
I get it, but if those 6 weeks you win a Super Bowl, a second Super Bowl, and a league MVP,
but
it's a pretty big 6 weeks.
I don't think he's had a better career than Big Ben. Even if he wins it, and I don't think he's a better player than Drew Brees. But I'll put him on that one. But Eli, Rivers, the other MVPs of his era, Matt Ryan, Cam Newton, obviously I have my head.
Willie Colon and Coach Mangini come out to react to the big news out of Baltimore and what it means for Lamar. We got Willie Colon and Coach Mangini out here on the OT continuing to react to the breaking news that Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens have a new head coach, and it is a former assistant coach with the Ravens, most recently the defensive coordinator of the Chargers. Jesse Minter, 42 years old, gets the coveted job of coaching the two-time MVP Lamar Jackson. Coach, your reaction and how you think Lamar should feel about this hire?
This makes a lot of sense, and I've talked a lot about how long that personnel department's been together, and whether it's the GM, the pro personnel director, the salary cap director, right on down the line, there's people that have been in that building for a long time. So for them to go hire a coach that's been in the building, understands how things work, the owner was probably familiar with him, not as intensely as maybe a defensive coordinator or offensive coordinator, but he's worked with the group, and they know him, and he knows them, so that's a real positive. But yet then he left, went and got experience at Vanderbilt, and then at Michigan, was able to coach a game at Michigan and be a head coach, and then had the success with the Chargers. So you get a young coach who's also familiar with a very established organization. You have a chance to hit the ground running, have the new ideas, and so I see why that all fits together. In terms of hiring a defensive head coach versus an offensive head coach, that to me can be a little bit overrated. It's more important that you get a head coach of the whole team. And it also sounds like Lamar was involved in the head coaching process by what's been said. So I imagine there was some sign off there also.
Yeah, listen, I think it makes sense from a philosophy standpoint. They're staying consistent. Harbaugh was a special teams defensive-minded guy. They got another guy. He's 42 years old. You imagine the runway will be long, just like it was for John Harbaugh. I think right now it's about how do you kind of get this defense back on par and being that daunted Ravens defense. That's one thing you need in the AFC North, especially if you plan on making a playoff team. Every playoff team right now, it has a defense. If you have aspirations of going back to the playoffs, you need somebody that can get the best out of Kyle Hamilton and some of these young guys that they have on the roster. Nevertheless, man, you just want to see this team getting back to what they believe in. That's playing in meaningful games in December and cracking the playoffs.
The Ravens have, I think, more talent than the Chargers do on the defensive side of the ball. And the Chargers, under Jesse Minter this year, 9th in points, 5th in yards, 1st in opponent passer rating, 7th in takeaways, 10th in sacks. I think he coached them up. They overachieved. And yeah, Eric DeCosta, the GM of the Ravens, has already put out a statement welcoming him back to the family. So I do think that there is continuity here. It's just it's a great job opening. To be able to coach 29-year-old two-time MVP Lamar Jackson and have it be your first job as a head coach, it's a premium gig for a first gig.
Well, it's a great opportunity for him too, because having that relationship with the GM, having that relationship with everybody in the building, that can be a real challenge too for a first-time head coach. Being familiar with
not as many introductions, right? You already know the names.
It's not even
icebreakers needed.
It's not even that component. It's how do you work the draft process? How do you work free agency? How do things work in terms of organizational hierarchy? All travel. There's so many elements to it that can be. It's a learning curve for anybody who comes in the building. At least he has that exposure to the system. And he does have an extremely strong personnel department to support him, and that's huge. That should be a huge asset on top of Lamar.
Yeah, I think the only, I guess, con, if you will, is that he doesn't have any head coaching experience, right? And sometimes
I forgot about the one game at Michigan.
One game, baby.
A little suspension
Undefeated.
situation. Undefeated. Yeah.
All right, so that's maybe the one thing you kind of worry about, because as much as he's been a part of the kitchen on how to make the sauce and kind of get things developed, there's still something about, as coach, I can't tell you enough about it, is sitting on that sideline being the guy making the decisions, especially in late game decisions, and having to take all the arrows in front of the media, having to talk to your guys before the game and after the game, and really have to rally a bunch of guys who are looking for some type of facelift, right? Like John Harbaugh was their guy for 18 years. Now you're the new guy. People pay attention to how you move. Like when I was there with Mike Tomlin's first year, and a lot of what he had to do was convince guys from a preparation standpoint and an in-game standpoint that he was worthy of the job. That takes time. That's trial through fire. So that's something he's going to have to go through. And hopefully, I wish him the best, but I don't.
Yeah, right.
And I know there's discussion about Cliff Kingsbury. If you go and you do hire someone like Cliff, to me, it's not just about him being an offense coordinator, but having a former head coach on the other side of the ball, that has real value too, because you can be confident that he can handle that. But it's also nice to have a guy who's done the job before to go bounce ideas off of, because there's always 5 things that come up each day that you've never had any experience dealing with. So to be able to walk down the hall and say, hey, this came up, what do you think? That has huge value.
So I'll admit, I normally am biased towards offensive coaches. And
Shocking.
I know it's a huge shocker. It's the Madden player. But no, my argument always was, for your quarterback, you would want the continuity. If your offensive coordinator got hired away, you'd want that continuity for your quarterback. But the exception, I would always say, was unless you have an established great quarterback where they are the offense. So if the Bengals wanted to hire a defensive coach, it'd be no problem. And I guess my question is, does Lamar fit into that category? Because clearly he's an established great player in the league, but I would imagine he needs to be ready to transition parts of his game as the athleticism wanes for Lamar going forward.
Yeah, there is going to be a transition, but Joe Burrow, I'm sure, wishes he had a better defense a lot of times, so he doesn't have to go out and score 30-plus points every game. And that can be a fantastic asset to a great player, because we expect him to be great every single week, but it's not going to happen. The guys have down games, and to have a really good defense that can support you and all the great things that you do, that's huge.
42-year-old Jesse Minter, the new head coach of the Baltimore Ravens. When he got there, the Chargers were the 24th ranked defense. They've been the 3rd ranked defense overall in the aggregate the last 2 years. The Chargers and Justin Herbert have now lost their offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator. What it means. But they do have Mike McDaniel. It's coming up on the OT. Welcome back to the OT. The other side of the coin. So the Ravens have hired Chargers defensive coordinator Jesse Minter to be their next head coach. That means the Chargers, they've lost Greg Roman. They fired him as their offensive coordinator, lose Jesse Minter to a head coaching job. Mike McDaniel is expected to officially be named the offensive coordinator of the Chargers. Their defensive coordinator position is now vacant. A lot of people thinking that's going to be a promotion from within. Coach, should Chargers fans be feeling optimistic with changing new offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator in 1 year?
Well, if it was a year ago and you're looking at the Philadelphia Eagles, who did it and had a ton of success, you'd say yes. But then if you look at the Detroit Lions this year, who changed both of them, and it didn't work out as well as they hoped to. Typically, when you change them both, it's not great. And I'd say the Eagles were more of an aberration than the norm.
Yeah, I mean, for the offensive side of the ball, you would hope this run game comes alive, and they're going to have to figure out what they're going to do with this offensive line, right? Because you can't go through another season of watching Herbert pick his back off the turf, right? And one thing you can stabilize the offense is by having a run game. I always love what McDaniel was able to do in Miami. If he does land a job with the Chargers, hopefully that's a bright spot for the team.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious, right? The expectation would be that the offense gets better and the defense probably gets a little worse. You bring in Mike McDaniel, you get Joe Alt and Rashawn Slater back.
Right.
I have a hard time believing the Chargers' offense is going to be worse next year than it was this year.
Yeah, if you're healthy, you're typically better.
Right, if you're healthy, you get a great coach. But the defense will probably regress a little bit. But you know what? Build around Justin Herbert. It's a sound plan. We'll see you tomorrow.